Welcome back to Morning Coffee with Tim. We are here with another incredible guest. Super excited for this one. We've been trying to get this one sorted for a while. It's been a few months, but we've got you here, got you to Fitna. What do you think of Fitna, first off?
Well, no, it's not far away from me. Like, I've been to
Have you been here before?
Of course I've been to Fitna before.
No, but you didn't know this place existed.
I didn't know this studio existed.
And it's unbelievable.
Yes,
it's a good
it's
place to be. But Cáoileánn Conway, how are you?
I'm good. Well, we have been chatting, so we know the crack around.
I know. We've caught up. But first question, straight off the bat, no messing about. Morning Coffee with Tim. Coffee shops, coffee. Talk to me. Yeah. Firstly, what's your coffee order? Anywhere? Like, you'll have a standard order.
Flat white semi-skim milk.
Semi-skim milk? Okay.
I'm basic, normal milk. Yeah,
you haven't developed into an oat milk drinker yet?
No, I won't.
You won't?
So I actually went to Applegreen one day and we stopped off and I didn't realise Applegreen has like a normal side and a plant-based side. So I got a tea in it one day and I poured the milk in, that was fine, whatever. And I was walking out and I goes to Owen, I was like, Owen, this tea is off. Turns out it was oat milk in it. So I just know that I don't like oat milk. I'm a normal milk gal.
Have you tried, you tried oat milk and didn't like it?
Yeah.
Have you tried it in the flat white though?
Yeah, don't like it. It tastes off. It just tastes like off semi-skim milk.
Here, that's fair.
It's a personal choice.
It is.
Yours?
And I'm all about I'm an oat flat white every time. But sometimes, to be fair, I'll switch it up and go normal milk. Like, it's not, I think sometimes when you order an oat flat white, people think it's like a dietary thing. And like, they're like, oh, we don't have oat milk. Do you want coconut or almond? And I'm like, no, normal milk's fine.
The amount of people, just because I'm a dietitian, think I'm going to have like oat milk or almond milk just because I'm a dietitian.
Yeah.
No.
Nah, normal. Normal milk's good. But right, now that we know what your order is, where are you ordering it? Where's the go-to coffee shop?
The go-to is the Alchemist in Oma for sure, because obviously I'm from Oma. And then
shout out Oma.
Shout out to Tiernan and Gary, the guys. You know,
great coffee,
delicious coffee, 2 a day. Like, actually live for 2 a day.
2 a day?
I look forward.
Both. Do you have a caffeine cutoff? You will, because you're an optimized person.
Am I? I don't know.
I thought you would have been like a 2 o'clock stop.
No,
I need my sleep.
Ideally, I have my first one at like 8 a.m. and then I'll get my second one by like 12 or 1.
Lunchtime.
Like most of the time. But now if I do, sometimes it's open to 4, so it might be 3:30. Do you know, kind of way? Like, it's not like whatever. Yeah. And then say I was in the city, say I was going to Belfast or somewhere, I'd either go established or I would go to general merchants. They're my 2 favourites. So
which general merchants in particular? Because I think they all taste different.
So I've been to the Upper Newtonards one before, and it's a nicer location, I think, personally, as in like when you sit in. Yeah. But I do always just end up going to the Ormeau one. See,
I go to the Stranmillis one.
Oh, I've never been to that.
Have you not?
Stranmillis?
No, wait. Is it Stranmillis?
There's one
Maybe
in
Stranmillis,
but it's called something else.
5A?
5A, but I'm talking about the actual general merchants.
Right.
Like where you would get like Heroes Rotos.
Oh, yeah, the potato. McCann got that the last time. Yeah. That's good. I get them mixed up. I don't really know Belfast. I think that's because I went to uni in England.
Yes.
I didn't get to know the streets of Belfast, so I'm just like, I think it's Stranmillis, which is the one beside the park, big park, on the roundabout.
On the roundabout.
Oh, no, maybe it's not a park.
Do you mean like Cutter's Wharf and all that?
Oh, yeah.
That's 5A.
That's 5A.
That is part of, like, they own that. But
but it's not technically a general merchant. It's not like branded as general merchants.
No, there's 3 actual locations that are called general merchants. So they are, and there's one on Ormeau, there's one Upper Newtonards Road, and then I think there's one that's out by like Forside Shopping Centre, which is out by like the Annandale Embankment, which I know you're not going to know because you just said you don't understand. So don't even worry.
I'll pretend like I know.
There are more cafes. 5A. 5A is a cafe, but it's a bit smaller.
Yeah. I like it. And you can sit outside in the summer. It's nice. Yeah. Okay, every day's school day.
Wait, what's yours?
My favourite in Belfast.
In general. Coffee place.
Oh damn! So I'm in the middle of writing a coffee guide at the minute. I don't know if you knew this.
I didn't know that, no.
All the top coffee shops in Northern Ireland.
Shameless plug.
It will be available in January, 1st of January. But, so I've got like Belfast, Tyrone. Right. Obviously, shout out Tyrone because I had to have somewhere. And then I have the North Coast.
Oh, yes.
And
I went to uni there.
Best of the rest. Because I'm just totally ignorant to Armagh and everywhere else.
I was going to say the North just? Is it
just the North. Okay. Just the North. Because that's where I know. Like, that's the place that I've been. So my favourite, I didn't do it in order because I didn't want to annoy any owners, and I know a lot of like different. I didn't want to be like, this is number 1, especially in Oma. I can't be coming with the heat saying,
you can.
This is better than this.
Yes, but I think I'm very snobby now. like there's
yeah,
places,
talk to me, go on, like, abuse someone, tell me
no,
something.
I'm not going to abuse it, but it's more so it's what I need. Like if there's a day where I need a laptop day, I'm not going to go to the Alchemist because I want to sit in and it's a wee bit too small for that in my personal preference. But some people do obviously still go there and do work. I think I'd either go Nature & Co or I would go to Nero's or I
shout out the big chain.
I wouldn't go to the kitchen for that. Also, kitchen's also nice, but for me, coffee wise, I'd still prefer the Alchemist. Like if it's just purely coffee and I was getting to take out, I would go to the Alchemist. But if I wanted coffee and food, I would go to the kitchen. If I needed coffee,
food in the kitchen's great.
Coffee and work would either be Nero's or Nature & Co. There's your overall.
You've covered it all. To be fair, the kitchen, I feel bad for doing work in there because I feel like there's so many people looking for tables,
eat, and I don't want.
And I'm just not sitting there because I'm there 4 hours minimum if I'm doing work. Whereas Nature & Co, because I take classes there and stuff too, I'm just sitting and I can sit facing the wall and I don't get distracted. If I'm in the kitchen, I'm watching people come in. I'm doing nothing.
I just have the overwhelming hate that there's a queue, and
I just don't want people looking at me going, she's been sitting there or he's been sitting there for like an hour. Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. Right, next question.
Yeah,
I want your best sip experience. Now I'm going to explain what this is to you because I made that up literally about 3 seconds ago, but it sounded good when I thought about it. What would you say is that? Have you ever had a moment? Because I had this thought last week, right?
Right.
I was thinking back to all the times I've had coffee, and I'd be quite like I romanticize my coffees a wee bit. You know, the sip, like nice and chilled out. I could be with good friends. I could be on my own.
Yeah.
I'm happy in my own company. You know, which is a good way to be. So it's like, it could be a place, it could be someone you're with, it could be the place you're in, it could be a nice view. So I had a coffee on like the edge of a cliff in Bali with monkeys swinging in the trees.
Very cool.
Like a plunge pool. It was like a Microsoft screensaver. Like when I looked out, and I remember taking a sip and I was like, damn, like life's good. Do you have any moment like that?
Do you know,
that's like a big question.
That is a big one. No, I probably got two, right?
Oh, you got two? Okay.
I've got two because, well, now one of them is tea, but we'll pretend it's coffee because
hot drinks.
Hot drinks
with Tim. It's all good.
So one of them, it was actually me and Owen went to Rome. Was it this year or last year we went to Rome? I think we went to Rome last year. But I just remember we went to the same place for breakfast the 3 days in a row that we were there. And on the third day, like the people that worked in it was the same people working, so they kind of got to know that we were like the same people coming in every day. And so it's so nice. I just love familiarity. I hate going to places that I don't know anything. I always feel uneasy, like anxiety or whatever. So it was so nice being in like a completely different country and having a place where like people kind of recognized you, being like, oh, they come here every day. So when we went in, and on the third day, I remember this guy, he like came over to us and he'd been serving us like the whole 3 days we'd been there or whatever, and we got our food and we were like asking him for his recommendations on the third day because we were like, do you think is there anything we should try different? And then we like the coffees were class, it was so tasty, but then he was like, we're gonna do a tasting experience. So me and Owen got this, like we had a stand at the bar and he like poured out all these different, like they were all different like espressos essentially. We like got to taste them all, and I just remember being like, this is so cool. Like people in a completely different country you've never met before. And you got your own like, and we were like experience. Like, and the lady behind the bar that was working as well, like we were all just like chatting, even though it wasn't like, it was like, this one's nice. We were all kind of just trying to have a conversation. So it was a nice way of like bonding with people that didn't even speak your language, do you know, that kind of way.
Lovely.
But then the other one was, I remember, so I had said I went to university in Coleraine, but I remember I was like going through a really bad time, mental health was in the bin, and I just remember one day I was reading Joe Dispenza, the one that I love, what's it called again? It's not Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, it's the other one. Anyway, it's one of the books that he has, and I remember I'd like walked up, you know, White Rocks Beach?
Yes, yeah.
It's just like outside Portrush or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
So I went there and I'd made myself a flask of tea, and this was when I wasn't even in uni, and I made myself a flask of tea, I had my coat on because it was quite cold.
Yeah.
And I walked across the like top of the cliff up there, and I had my book, and I had my little flask of tea, and I had like my little meditation music on, my earbuds, and I was like pouring it, and I was like looking out, and I was like, and it was the first time in probably a long time where, just because obviously the mental health had been poor, where I was just sitting there, and as you say, I could never have sat by myself in a coffee shop and like just been by myself without my mind racing, being very anxious. And it was the first time I remember sitting out being like, my mind is peaceful, because I used to always write my journal and be like, I'm so thankful and grateful for a quiet and peaceful mind, and then that was like one of the moments where I remember being like, it actually is quiet right now, because I never knew what that felt like. So yeah, that was a nice one.
Right, that's probably the best answer I've ever had.
No, but yours was good. You put pressure on me there.
To be fair, I don't know. Actually can't even remember if I've asked this question before. I feel like I have the SIP experience, totally new, but I feel like I have maybe asked it. But that was a great answer, and that's what it's about. Like, I'm all about. I've made reels about this. I'm sure you have as well. In terms of like enjoying the little things, enjoying the little moments. You know, I'm all for that, and I think a sip of coffee can do that for you. I feel like on a cold morning, a sip of coffee hits different too. Like
I just look forward to my 2 flat whites today. Like when I hit the first one, and then I'm so excited for the second one.
But it goes so quick. It's so small.
Owen has his gone in 30 seconds flat. Like before you walk out the door, he's like, it's empty.
I know, but that's so. I know. I feel his pain. That is sad. Right. Okay. Cool. That's the coffee.
Yeah.
We might touch on coffee again. Who knows? But I want to. Firstly, obviously, we're here to find out about you.
Okay. Just to have a chat. We don't need to
obviously, I know. But you're doing cool things. You have done cool things. You've obviously been through a lot too. Like everyone's got their own story. Everyone's got kind of what has brought you to this point.
Yeah.
But I want to find out firstly, how would you describe? I know the question. What do you do and who are you? It's an awful question, but what would you say? Because I know you're a dietitian. I know. Influencer
I know, so it's hard to know, right?
Yeah.
And I think
how would you describe it? I want to just hear what you would say you are.
I would say if I was to introduce myself, I would say I'm a dietitian, a sports dietitian. That's like my job,
right?
And I like that because I feel like sometimes there's a very negative correlation with even just influencer. I wouldn't say I'm an influencer. I would say I'm a sports dietitian that has a platform more so than anything, and very grateful for the platform. I think. And it's even hard too because when I look at the platform, I'm like, oh, buzzing. But then I'll compare myself to someone who has a bigger platform and be like, oh, do I even have that much? And then I'm like, no, but Cáoileánn, there are people that like take something from your content and like make a change or it helps them in some way. So I'm just like, that's
comparison's the thief of joy, Cáoileánn.
100%.
You know this?
No, but I know this.
I know, and it's so easy. Everyone does it.
The worst person for it. Like honestly, see there about 4 days ago. Oh, I was in the bin just comparing myself to other people. But I would say I'm a sports dietitian, probably very grateful to have a platform and an audience, maybe more than anything.
Yeah, I get that comparison completely. It's so, you kind of think, I'm sure you thought as well, whenever you had 5,000 followers, you were like, oh, imagine having 20,000. And then you get it and you're like, oh, 30. How many did you have? Like 33? Or can't remember checking.
Yeah, Instagram's like 30, oh gosh, like 37.
And then TikTok's
nearly 80, which is... But like saying that out loud, I'm like, that's mad. But then when I'm sitting at home, I'm like, oh, but they've got 100, or they've got 150, and I'm like, can get out your head out.
I know. But I think this. I've got a thing on this. I think influencers are like in 2 categories.
Right.
This is just my personal opinion.
Hear it.
So you've got an influencer that maybe comes off a show, not mentioning a show, but everyone knows what shows influencers come off, and it's like they're thrust into the spotlight, and they have influence because they've got a big platform. They were given that platform maybe through a TV show or just having eyes on them, but no one really knows what they do because no one really knows that much about them. I would say you're like an impactful influencer who has grown your influence through what you do and what you want to do, adding value.
This is it. I'm not doing like
you're not influencing for this. Like you're not promoting a perfume, a this, a that. Like you're not using like to sell a product. You're selling yourself on what you believe in, and then people are buying into that because they trust you and they like what you put out.
I think
is the difference.
It's literally I'm myself essentially.
Yeah.
You know, and then stuff that I like, I'll talk about it, and if I don't like something, I'm not going to talk about it.
Exactly.
But like first and foremost, it's my main thing is like nutrition, movement, mindset. They're like my 3 key things. But then obviously within that then it might stem to things that make you feel good in different areas. Like for example, you might have lost weight or you might have built muscle, but then a lot of girls also deal with the fact that they don't know how to like manage their body changing in terms of like increased muscle mass. How do I dress for that? And obviously I love clothes, so I'm like, okay, that brings clothes.
You're very fashionable.
Well,
I just say that you are.
You know, these angles might not be
no, you are very fashionable.
No, I do love my clothes, right? So even though I might put up like the odd outfit video and stuff, I'm like at the core it's still I'm trying to just help people. Do you know, it's like someone might be like, oh, I like that outfit, she has a similar body type to me, I might try and replicate that.
Yeah.
Or like for example with makeup, I love makeup, but then for other people it might just be like I follow some people too just because of how they look, and I just think some people are pretty.
Yeah,
and then I also just love makeup, so I'm like, I think I'm just trying to put as much of myself into the platforms that I have. If it's makeup, exercise, nutrition, the meals that I eat, the evidence-based stuff that obviously is the most impactful. But then also just stuff that I've been through with mental health, and then getting your nails done, your tan. Like, I just love it all. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like,
you say slay a lot.
I love a bit of slay, yes, I do.
I
too much.
That, yeah, you can never slay too much. I don't think, like, I'll say that. But no, that is so, and I think that stands out. I think that, like, I follow all different types of people, and you know, sometimes I really want to get my following down because I just feel like I don't see the people I want to see. Yeah, and I'm just seeing loads of things. I'm like, I'm not seeing one of my best friends posting, but I'm seeing some random that I don't even know. So I'm trying to get that down. But I think it stands out. Like people like you, people like Sean, who's been on before, even Daniel, like Connell, all these people who are just doing what they love, posting, and it's just so authentic. And they're not trying to be authentic, because I think some people try and be, I need to be real, I need to be, but I think you guys just do it so well. That's what I'm trying to do. I think it's what everyone should try and do, is just be yourself, and you will always have people that like you. Yeah. I think sometimes we try and please everyone, and it's impossible. Yeah.
Like I would talk about that a lot too. Like on TikTok, it's probably a wee bit more mindset based, where like you might just have the chats. But I would always say, like back in the day, before I kind of knew who I was, I would have so many different, like I would try and become the person I thought I was talking to wanted me to be. Like I would
overthinking everything, just
literally like I'd be like, do they want me to be talkative? Do they want me to be quiet? Like what does this person want me to be? And then that's why by the end of the day you'd be absolutely wrecked, because your social battery would be on the floor, because you don't actually know who it is you're trying to be. And the same thing I think would come across in terms of the content you're putting out, where if you don't actually know who your audience is trying to be, like the people that follow me and even the clients that I have, they are all, everyone gets the vibes. Like every single client I have, they just know the crap, because I'm the exact same in that as I am online, you know, so they're not getting a different thing, so they know what I'm resonating with. And I just think if you're not being authentic, you're going to have too many different people, and you're not going to get the right type of people. I just think being yourself is what you're going to get the right type of people to your audience.
100%. And you said something there before you knew who you were.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Oh, God.
When did you, because obviously I want to go back as well. I want to go back to like growing up, school life, all the rest. But when do you think you kind of realized, do you think you're still discovering who you are? Or do you think you kind of had a moment where, I think we all are, like you know, if I look back to 21, me at 21, I thought I knew everything. Like I thought life was complete, finished uni, that's me sorted now. Yeah. And then I look back now and I was like, geez, I didn't really know anything.
But I do think you're just, if you're not, as they say, you know, very cliche, if you're not changing, you're not growing, etc., etc. Yeah. Because like obviously everything's a different chapter, like a wee bit.
Yeah, of course.
And you have to go through obviously the wee shit ones, and I absolutely did, but I wouldn't change them, because I wouldn't be.
Every movie has bad sequels, though.
Yeah, like I wouldn't.
That just totally came to my head. Makes sense, right?
But like I just don't think you could, like I did not have a clue who I was when I was younger, and no one really does. I think everyone, especially in their 20s, goes through some point where they're like in the dumps and they have no idea what's going on, even if it's what career they want to do, if it's like the relationship that they're in, if it's financial, like all these different things. It's, you have to go through something, I think, that's going to get you where you need to be.
For context, what age are you?
I'm 25.
25, so mid-20s. Yeah.
I feel 18 though, and I actually feel like I stopped it.
You're preaching to the choir. Yeah. I feel 18. I'm 28.
Like I go in and do these talks in schools to like year 13s and 14s, and I'm like, I am one of you. Like I was wearing my uniform.
It's ridiculous. Like sometimes I tell people I'm 27 because I'm just like, I don't want to be 28. I'm 28. But sometimes I'm like 27, and then I'm like, I'm not. I'm really not, but I feel 27.
Well, that's just lying.
27's 3 years to 30. 28's 2.
I know.
That's too close.
I know. But anytime I follow people that talk about their 30s, they say it's nearly a better time, because you actually care less about what other people think.
But this is the mindset I have, right? And I don't know if you resonate with this at all. I don't know why this was, but whenever I was growing up, because I was so into sport and like football and all these different sports that I played, I was in such a sporty mindset. Yeah. And if you didn't make it in sport by the time you were 18, you were like, that was it. You weren't going to make it pro, you know. So in my head, I've got a really bad mindset when it comes to age. Like I think like, I didn't achieve this when I was 18, 21. Now I think 28's super old, and I know it's not. Yeah. Like I know it's not. And you know, I talk to McCann about this all the time too. It's funny because he's in a industry with the comedy where most people don't, you have comedians in their 40s, 50s, like
yeah.
peaking, maybe don't even get started until they're 40. Whereas with me, I compare everything to sport. I'm like, the younger the better, you know, I didn't achieve this, but and it's just, but that's a negative mindset on my part.
For sure.
But it is something like, do you feel old? Do you feel young?
No, I honest to God feel like a baby. Like
that's good. That's a good way to think.
18, and that's
I'm gonna take a bit of that energy, like, because I need to.
I always say, like, my mum is like 42 and she's been 42 forever, and my granny's been 65. Like, I just feel like everyone stops aging at a certain age, even though they continue. But you know, like in your head, it's like I stopped when I was 18.
And COVID, 3 years or 2 years gone, like. Yeah. Blank.
But I didn't really. I'm
technically 25.
I feel like. I know a lot of people say that they feel like they missed, but I actually really enjoyed that time.
I grew a lot in that period, and I know it was a tough time. I don't like, because I know it was like a bit manic, and it was tough for so many people. But for me, I remember walking in the fields, my hair like this, and like taking videos. I look back, and I started my business when in COVID, like because I had to take everything online. So I look at that time in a really positive light, but I know I don't like talking about it too much. So I know a lot of people struggled. But right, let's bring it back. Yeah. Bring it back to young Cáoileánn. Growing up. Yeah, wee Keels. Do people call you wee Keels? Yeah. Do it? Keels. Right, growing up, school life. I want to kind of know when you knew what you wanted to do. Like when you were at school, did you have it? Like, were you shy? Were you extroverted?
No, I was.
Tell me a little bit about young Keels.
Probably the same way I am now. I'm just like chatting. No, I'm absolutely no. That's a lie. I probably was a wee bit more mental when I was at school. I would go out a lot and drink a lot more and stuff for sure. But I think I had that period then, and I'm past it.
It's a good time to have it.
I'm actually happy that I have it done now and it's out of my, because I have like no desire. But when I was in school, just normal, like just whatever, just one of those, like as you say, like sporty. I just played sports and chatted to everybody, and that was just the way it was or whatever. But that was probably an issue too, because as you say, now when you look back, my identity was based in the fact that I was like running around chatting to everyone. I was the person that like people might have known me because I played football, and I would always talk about this too, where like my identity was based on external things. So it was. So then when that changed and I moved away to obviously go to uni and stuff, I was like a massive, who am I? What am I doing? Kind of a way, even though I was still playing football. But I didn't know specifically. I remember I just had like the classic, it was like 5th year or whatever, and I was I was pretty smart, you know, like just standard. It wasn't like I was having any academic issues or whatever. So I was kind of just like, right, what do I actually enjoy doing? So then what I thought about was like, right, I loved HE in school, and I loved sports, and then I loved just in general like the body movement, training, all that kind of stuff. So a classic thought was like physio. So it was like most people would do. But I didn't realise, obviously, you don't realise back then that physio was not just on the side of a football pitch with like Tyrone.
You're speaking my language. I had the exact same thoughts.
You have to go into the hospital, do your musculoskeletal chest physio, like you're working with the elderly, with people that might have had a stroke, like these real horrific stuff. God love them. But you have to do that before you even get near a football pitch kind of a situation. And that was probably when my route was like, I wanted to be in the sports side of physio.
Which would have took a lot of getting through the other stuff.
And I was like, I don't know if I have enough drive to do the rest
That's
of it.
so weird, because we were both the exact same in that sense. Because I wanted to be a physio, and then I was like, oh, you have to do a year in the hospital or whatever. You have to do this, you have to do that. And it would have been very rewarding work, no doubt. But I was always very like, I want to be that guy on the side of, I want to be at Arsenal, on the side of the pitch, high-fiving the players, you know, in the team environment. So I get that completely. Yeah.
So it was between that. I still kept it as an option, and I do think I bring that up because I know that a lot of people go into thinking that that's like a good thing to go down if you're like sporty. I just know that's a thought process. But anyway,
and you can get there.
Oh yeah,
like
100%.
You can, but it's important to know that you have to go through a lot of the more clinical stuff before you get to the sport.
And then the other thing then was I only knew one dietitian. Her name's Kelly. She's also from Oma. Shout out. You probably know Kelly.
Yeah. She was in the.
She was actually my pastoral monitor when I was second year at school.
Yes.
She was 7th year and I was 2nd year, and I remember being like, it always stuck with me that she had done dietetics, because I'd never heard of anyone else doing dietetics before, and she was really sporty and blah blah. And I remember she walked in with her football bag in 7th year, and I was like, who's this doll?
Nourish with Kelly. That's her Instagram.
Yes, shout out Kelly.
Yeah, she does great things.
And she also CrossFit, all the different
That's right.
stuff. So,
yeah.
We literally live opposite each other now. It's
nice.
such a so funny. Such a small.
Just following each other around.
Yeah. And then obviously Owen, my partner, works in CrossFit.
Yeah.
My husband who owns it, whatever.
Lovely.
But anyway, so it's so mad though how it all started then, because I just remember I was in Mr. Quinn's room, and I remember she walked in and she had this really, God love her, the tan was hilarious, it was really tan, and I just remember specifically, and she would chat away or whatever, but she was going to do dietetics, and so that kind of stuck with me. So then I remember going to our careers person, he was called Mr. Wilson at the time, I think he's still in Laredo, and I was like chatting to him, and dietetics came up in the conversation, and I hadn't thought about like her doing that for years, but I was like, oh, I remember that doll went on and did that. So then I was like, maybe I'll think about it, because obviously it was food related.
Yeah.
And not that I had any mad like thought about food.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed HE, so I was like, maybe it's another route. But then the next hurdle was like, gosh, I don't want to go to Coleraine by myself. It's in Derry now, I'm pretty sure. But at the time it was in Coleraine, and obviously
University of Ulster, was it?
Yeah, Ulster University, but in Coleraine.
Loads
and then there's
campuses.
obviously Ulster University McGee, but then there's Ulster University Jordanstown or Queen's, where most people, like majority of my friends were going, which I know seems like such a non-important thing, but at the time when you're 17
it's
or
18,
a big deal.
It's a I remember deal.
Because again, your identity revolves around like your friend group, what you do, who you spend your time with. That's like all that matters when you're 17 or 18. And so I was like, gosh, I don't want to go here by myself, like I'm not gonna spend any time with people. And also majority of like the football hype was in Belfast, with like Ulster University Jordanstown playing like the big games and stuff, like All-Stars and all that jazz.
Colerane's kind of like the North Coast is like its own little place.
Yes.
You kind of feel very disconnected, I imagine,
And I didn't, like, nobody else was going there. Like, I didn't know very many people that were going to Coleraine. So I just was like, maybe I'll do the food safety quality one in Belfast. And the reason I bring that up as well is because I know that some people that might want to do dietetics are thinking the same route, but it's very backward. So you would have to do it, and then you'd have to go on and try and do a master's as well if you wanted to be a full-on dietitian. You would also, even if you wanted to be a nutritionist, you would still need to go and do a master's in nutrition doing that course. So it's not a good course to do if you're looking to go down like the nutrition route, essentially. I think it'd be more if you wanted to get into like the development of food and like food products, like in, like, for example, developing products with like Moy Park or Kerry Foods or something like that. So good to know. But then anyway, I put that down as one of my lists, but I put dietetics in Coleraine as like my number one. And you had to do the HPAT with that.
What was your because you had 5, didn't you?
Yeah. So
jeez, I remember back to writing my 5. Like I
what was yours?
I think I wrote no, mine were all sport and exercise science. Whenever I discovered that was a thing, I was like, wait, you can go to uni and do sport, exercise, and learn how everything works. I was like, that is just me. Like that's I didn't know that was a thing, because we didn't even do sport PE in our school for A level. I had to go to another school to do like my sports studies. So they didn't do it. So that was all I wrote. But I did write business studies for my 5th, because I don't know if my dad to this day thinks sports science is a real thing, but I was like, I'll write business because he knows what business is. In the end I've ended up doing both down the line, but it was all sports science. But was yours very food sports based, or what did you kind of write for yours? No,
so I actually loved math at school.
Oh really?
Loved math. If I wasn't doing what I was doing, I would probably be a math teacher.
Really?
Yeah, I loved math.
Do you actually? You're mental. That is mad.
Love a bit of C1.
Oh no, I had to get a tutor. I was like, if I didn't have my tutor, shout out. I don't even remember the guy's name, but he was great.
I'll never forget my GCSE teacher, Miss Kelly. She's still there, I think. And I remember I got full marks on my GCSE math, and I remember going upstairs to her, and she came up and she gave me a big hug, and I was like, "This is mad because we are two non-affectionate people. Why are we hugging?" But I was so buzzing. But I loved. So my first one was dietetics. I think I had human nutrition, food nutrition, the food safety quality one, and then just maths. That was like the 5th one. So it was. You can kind of tell like the maths was like. I was like, if everything else goes wrong, I'll do math.
You still enjoy it, so you'd be happy doing it.
I was happy enough doing it, but I'm glad, obviously, now that I don't do it, I'm delighted with where I should. But like, it's not like I had this mad desire. I think sometimes you look at some people and they might be doing well. It's not like I was like, I'm going to be a dietitian and I'm going to have blah, blah, blah. Like, I did not have any of that planned at the time when I went to dietetics.
You were just like, do this and see where it goes. And when I was like with the dietetics, I think me and Mr. Wilson talked about this. It was a sense of, look, you could go to Belfast, but then that's like 2 or 3 years when you can still try and bring in some like going out and seeing your friends, because obviously I still played County Tyrone at the time, like GA football. When did you start that?
I started like under 14. Okay. And then you went on, and I think I started playing county when I was like 17 or 18. Like
was it always football? Was that your only sport growing up?
Yeah.
Did you play anything else?
The main one.
That was the main one? That was the one you took seriously.
You would just mess around with like netball and school stuff, but I was never good at that. I was just
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was. But when I was doing that, so I was kind of like, right, I'm not going to be, if I go to Belfast, I'm still going to be driving up and down loads of times because I'll have training 3 or 4 nights a week. Do you know, so I'm not even going to be going out as much with other people. So I was trying to rationalise in my head with like, what's the pros and what's the cons.
As we do. Yeah.
So I was like, right, just put Coleraine as your first one. And then I'm actually obviously delighted now that I went.
Yeah.
So, because I would not have had the personal growth that I had if I didn't go.
Yeah.
But when I went, you had to do HPAT, which is now an exam. So it is, because I know some people always wonder how you get into dietetics. I would always recommend, if you want to do dietetics, start with dietetics and try and get into it first, because obviously you can do human nutrition or food nutrition. Yeah. But you'd have to do a master's to be a dietitian then. You'd only be a nutritionist graduating with that. But if you go on and do dietetics, the course itself, it starts off with a lot of science, obviously understanding how everything's work, how all the systems in the body are working, so you understand how the food relates to that and how you can help somebody. But you do that in human nutrition and food nutrition as well. Like, they were all in the same courses as us for the first few years anyway.
Right, yeah.
And then if you go on and do dietetics, say you don't like the clinical aspect of dietetics, because you'll do 3 years straight off. Yeah. And then you'll do a full year of placement at the very, very end. Sometimes courses will have it sandwiched, where you'll do 2 years, go off, come back and do another year. Yeah. So you do your full 3 years, and then you go off and do your full placement year, and then you get a job after that. But you could do your 3 years. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit that. You could do your full 3 years, do like a month of dietetics, and realize, Jesus, this hospital thing's not for me. Yeah. And then you could not finish the placement and graduate with a nutrition degree anyway. Right. But you wouldn't be a dietitian, but you'd still have a nutrition degree.
So you wouldn't have wasted. Yeah, you still okay.
I'm probably not sure I'm supposed to be promoting that, but anyway.
So wait, you wouldn't have wasted. So you still qualify. You still qualify with something.
With a nutrition degree.
Okay, so it's the extra year that gets you to be the dietitian.
Yeah.
Qualified dietitian.
Yeah, that clinical aspect.
Yeah. Because a dietitian is, if I'm not mistaken, dietitian's like, is an actual protected like term. Nutritionist
it's governed by law, and you have code of conduct to uphold, and you're governed by a registered body and stuff, whereas anyone can really call themselves a nutritionist, and that's why it's difficult.
How do you feel about that?
Oh, I don't really care.
You don't mind? Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, that person thinks they're like a nutritionist. It's a very murky waters territory, isn't it? Like some. In my opinion, I don't really like. I'm never going to be chatting to anybody or spending time with someone that will be doing something shady anyway. Do you know, I'm just like, I'm not surrounded by those type of people. You're too wholesome.
No, absolutely not. But like, you only surround yourself with people that are on the same path or doing right stuff. So I just know that I wouldn't come across anyone like that anyway. For sure. So I just think, always just make sure that whoever you're getting help from has the right qualification and they're legitimate. Doing things the right way. Yeah. But essentially, most people that are dietitians, they have to follow the necessary code of conduct. That doesn't mean I always necessarily agree with what they're saying, because some people can read the evidence separately, but at least we know that they've done the groundwork. You know? I got you. I get you. So I want to go back to the football. When do you still play football? Oh no. So
because obviously you had an injury as well, which we'll get into, because I loved your kind of rehab content and stuff like that there, which I think was very valuable, very useful for a lot of people. But when were you extremely passionate about that? Was it something that you loved it, but then you don't play it so much anymore? Like, tell me the kind of story behind that and where you got to, the level that you played at, because I know you played for Tyrone, which is a very, very, like, you know, top level over here. So when did that kind of... So tell me the timeline. When I was playing, the AFL was only becoming a thing, which is what a lot of people would go for now. Like the ladies, you know, like AFL in Australia, where they played. Yep, got you. That's massive now. When I was playing, that was only becoming a thing. Yeah. And I had stopped before that even became on, but I still wouldn't. Would that not have been something you would have? No, I don't think so. I'm not. I wouldn't have said I'm not a very. I was always a back. I was a defence, and I think you need to be a bit more of a forward to be playing the AFL. Okay. Yeah. So you know, cornerback. But what in terms of playing, it's funny because a lot of people now, like I would have some younger audience and some older audience, and it just depends. But it honestly was like one of the biggest things that would manage my emotions, like whether or not I got playing, if I got picked, right? All these different things. That goes back to the identity thing. A lot of your identity was in that. It was in football, and it was like that's how people knew me, and that's how I felt like I got self-worth, was from playing county. And I remember when I was under 14 going for the trials. Under 14, like that's no way, is it? But like it sticks with me. And I remember I didn't get picked, and I was raging. I was like, that's it. Like, what's the point of anything? What is the point? And then the next year I got on, so I was delighted, but I didn't get playing. So my goal, I was like, I am gonna get starting. Like that is my goal in life. I'm gonna get starting. So I remember under 16, I actually got player of the year. Buzzing. Yeah. And I'm not saying that to brag, but I'm just like, That's a nice little progression in 3 years.
Really because like I would not have been, and like even my ma, I'm pretty sure Mummy was like, you know,
your head out of the clouds.
Not that good. Like, why? Like, why? Calm down.
Yeah.
And I remember actually, Mummy wrote me this letter, and she laminated it. I used to hang it up in my room, and I remember on the one it was like, and maybe one day you'll be a good wee footballer. That was on it. I was like, thanks for the hope, Mum.
Did you ever take? Because from what you're saying there, you maybe weren't the most talented on the team. So did you ever take that and use that as like a driving force to make sure you, because I definitely have moments like that in my life, because I remember being told when I was doing the 11 plus, I don't think it's called the 11 plus anymore, entrance exam, I don't know what it is,
something like that.
Something like that. I remember my teacher told me, she called us the 11 minusers.
Jesus.
Not a great teacher, but anyway, she probably won't listen to this. She doesn't even probably know what a podcast is. So, but she called us the 11 minusers, and they actually called my parents into the office and was like, you know, we think you should pull Tim out of this, because I was actually called Timmy. I changed my identity to Tim, but that's a whole different story. Big moves. But they were like, oh, I don't think he's fit for the 11 plus. And I remember, even when I got the results and I got an A and I got into the school, I remember like even they weren't really sure that I was fit for it. Yeah. And that's still to this day.
In your head.
And that teacher now says to me, I always knew your name was going to be up in lights. I was like, it's not up in lights yet, but like, I don't know when you ever believed in me. I know you're talking absolute rubbish, but that sticks with me. So did you ever have did that drive you on? Like little moments like that where you're so young, but you kind of remember these things. Like you definitely do.
Do you know what it is? It's more that I remember not thinking I was good, because I just didn't really have, and I still wouldn't say I was never the best. But I always tried really, really hard. Like, I was obsessed with, like, after every session,
getting better.
God love our managers, Jerry Moen, shout out, and Barry Grimes, still to this day. And I remember even Barry gave me a book. Hold on, I'm skipping chapters. Let me run back. So I remember it was Pat Clark.
He gave you a book and you're skipping chapters. I like that.
Oh, I know. But I was 14, right? And we were going to play the Fela under 14. I was like 13 or 14. And this is like my first. I only really started playing football when I was like 10 or 11. I was a wee bit late into it for the club. And then I remember not thinking I was very good. And my best friend Claire she still is fantastic, and I just always used to look at her and be like, oh my god, she's so good. We weren't best friends then, but I really wanted to be her best friend. And here's me spilling my secrets.
Yeah, I love it.
But and I remember just being like, oh my god, they're so good, like I just want to be really, really good and want to try really hard. And I remember that year he gave me captain, which I know these all seem really silly things, but when you're 13,
these are all big. These are big things. Like
this is like life shaping, because that fully shaped the rest of my football career.
And you're automatically a B-knock, like.
Because I was like, I'm a bench warmer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he gave me, and I was like, where are you seeing this? And I think, honest to God, right, this sounds so silly, but I think that gave me a wee bit of like, okay, even if I'm not the best, maybe I have something to do in terms of like leadership or like helping other people, drive them on. Like maybe that's what it's about. It's not just about being the best player, which that's me trying to carry over life lessons here now. But I just remember being
in your young little mind, you wouldn't have been thinking like that, but it all.
In my head,
small part of the story,
Jesus, maybe I'm alright. Like maybe I'm actually.
Okay, I must have something if I'm being made captain.
And we actually went on. I remember that year was the best year of football ever. Because we got to go down to like the Fela, which is like a thing for like when you're under 14, you get to go down and stay in other people's houses down south if you win. And then you get to go and compete like across Ireland, which is massive for 13 or 14 year olds. You got to share houses. Oh, it was class. But anyway, so we got to the Ireland semi-final, and I was delighted because I was like, oh my god, me, like And then so that went on, and that was the same year I think that I finally got onto the county team, because I didn't get on the year before that. Right. So you can kind of see it's building up where I'm like, I'm not good. Yeah. And then
when does the county team start? Sorry, 14.
Oh, it starts from like under 12.
Oh, does it?
Development, and then it builds up. Like obviously this is underage.
Yeah.
But then I was playing obviously throughout the years until I made it to senior, and then you played senior then for the remainder. Yeah. So I played senior for about 5 years. But anyway, we played through, and then when I started playing seniors, I was like, I think I was 7th year or first year uni. So I was like 17, 18. And so when I went there, I was just obsessed. I was like, again, comparison is the thief of joy, where I'd be like, I need my jersey as like my level of worth. Like if I don't start, I'm shite. Do you know, I can go like at everything that I do, which is so toxic, and I'm trying to learn to unhinge from that. Yeah. But and I remember I would just go up to the managers after every single session and be like, what do you want me to do better? What went, like what was bad? What do I need to fix? Kind of a thing. And then,
which is a good mindset to have at that age, like.
Kind of, but also it's like if you do one bad thing, then that could wreck your whole training session, because you can't let go of it, because you're just thinking
all or nothing. Yeah.
So, but I've gotten much better at that now. But anyway, moving on from that, then I remember we got to the All-Ireland final, in 2017, and this was like career defining for me because I'll never forget me on the TV on RTE or whatever channel it was.
That's mental, like.
20 minutes into the game, and I got starting, and I was like, yes, let's fucking go. I'm starting my first ever in Croke Park All-Ireland final.
Unreal.
Buzzing.
Big crowd.
Big. I was like one of the biggest crowds that had been at the time, because like there was like Gaelic football for ladies was only becoming a wee bit more televised at that time. And anyway, got starting 20 minutes into the game. Oh Jesus Christ, I have the fear even talking about it. I remember I blocked the ball, got it back, like got a turnover, really good turnover, fisted the ball, fisted it straight to the Tipperary player. She went and scored a goal, and I was taken off 23 minutes into the game. And I remember just the camera screen on me and me just crying on the screen for like 3 minutes. No. I obviously didn't get playing then for the rest of the game because I fucked up. Yeah. But after that, I was determined. I was like, no way. I didn't start for then. I think the start of the next season. Mm-hmm. I didn't even start for like.
Did you go on to lose the game?
Oh yes, we lost. So in my head, I was the one that lost the game for us. Yeah. But we lost by 3 points too, which is obviously the same amount of scores as one goal. Yeah. So I was like,
I can imagine when you're young, impressionable, everything revolved around this. Oh, that must have been like
everything, because obviously all my friends then were in Belfast, and I was like actively not going out, not going up to see them, even though I was in Korea. Now we have to remember as well, when I was in uni at this time, my mental health was in the bin, so this was like the one thing I was clinging on to that really determined if I was doing well or not. Was like if I was doing good at football, okay, everything was sweet. I'm like hanging on to something, that kind of a way. And the next year we were going on to 2018, and we were still in the same. We were in the intermediate final or whatever we got on. I didn't get starting for the start of the year, and I was determined to get back starting, because obviously that whole career defining terrible pass, but anyway, and got back to starting again, and we got to All-Ireland final again, and I'll never forget, it was the best day ever, because I got to play the full game, got man marking job, and like one of the best players for me. I was delighted. I was like, give it to me, I want the big job. And I remember we won, so after that I was like, right, I can calm down a bit. Like I've
and you won?
Myself. We won All Ireland that year.
Okay, amazing.
So we did. That was 2018.
Do you think if you wouldn't have won that, would that have been harder to get over? I think probably would have been, because that probably closed that chapter where you're like, right, okay.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I did, like, I thought about it the whole year.
I've made up for my mistake, kind of thing.
Yeah, because I would have, every game then, all I wanted was to get back playing so that I could make up for it.
Right your wrongs, kind of thing. Yeah,
but nothing would have compared to doing it on the same stage, obviously, that I messed it up on. Do you know, kind of a way.
Got you.
But, like, that year, I was just, like, determined. I was like, I want all the man marking jobs. Give me everybody. I will show you.
Yeah. But that's a great attitude to have, like.
I think that's probably the same way that I approach like the ACL too.
And obviously business and things like that. Like that, if you use that attitude in the right way, I'm sure it's been a massive benefit. But it is very like if you go too far.
This is it. You see, and that's probably why I compare too much to other people.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't.
Team sports, I think you can do that though.
Yeah.
I think individual sports is maybe a little bit different, because you're kind of like running your own race. I think with team sports, especially whenever you bring in that competitive element where you're trying to get someone else's
you need to take the fun out of it, and you just could run yourself out of it nearly. You run yourself out because you overthink to the point where you're like, what's the point anymore? Like, it's just you versus you, essentially, even though you're looking at other people. Like, the same way in a team sport, like, every time you go to a game or you go to training, you are showing up. Whereas I think if you revert it to like working in a business individually, you could nearly put yourself to the point where you just lie there and don't do anything, because you're so paralyzed by the anxiety of productivity and like comparing to other people. So it has its pros and cons, I guess, but definitely you need to learn how to manage it better, and I definitely need to learn how to manage it better.
But and also you're young and have like zero self-awareness.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's what I always think. I look back to myself at school and I'm like, why did I not stand up more? Why did I not speak out more? Why did I not? And you kind of, but at school you just don't. You just go with the flow a lot of the time, and you're just like, I want to be in the cool group. I want to do this. I want to do whatever. That. Like, I'll go with it. I'll just follow the crowd and just not make myself stand out too much. And I always respected people that kind of like someone that went and done a play or something like mad like that. And I was like, I'd have loved to have been that. I'd love to have done that, because now I like to think that I don't care what people think. Obviously we have a little bit of care, but now I'm just like, do what I want, do my own thing, like speak my truth and all that kind of good stuff. But back in the day, no, I wasn't like that.
Yeah.
But you kind of wish you could go back. But that's all part of growing up.
But then you have to remember too, you're surrounded by a lot more people then. Whereas now you're surrounded by people you want to be surrounded by more so. Like you're picking who you spend time with. Whereas in school you don't get a choice. So you are surrounded by people that might not be the best influence at that time. Yeah. So which can kind of knock your confidence.
You don't pick your people so much. You're kind of like you're
in
there.
School and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Some of the people like you just know when later in life you're not going to probably spend time with them kind of people, but you have no other choice then. And you have to remember, like, obviously the people that you're spending time with is what you're going to be reflected in your own life. For sure. So if you're spending time with people that make you feel lesser and less confident, well, that's how you're going to feel. So when you look back at that now, you're probably like, geez, I wasn't very confident because people were making... That's the people that were making...
I used to have a thing at school where I would go red so easy.
Oh, no.
Oh, honestly, no joke. No joke. Wee Timmy, it was bad. I would see if a girl would have went to me, you're going red, that'd be me gone, like.
That's the worst.
I hate it so much. And I used to go standing up in class or doing anything. It wasn't even that I was nervous. I just had this thing where when I felt like I was going red, that was it. I was off the cliff. So I was going even redder, and then a girl would say it, and I was like, why did you say that? I hate that so much. Like, why did you say? And still to this day, it doesn't happen anymore, but still to this day, if someone says it, like something embarrassing or something happens, I'm just like, you were the type of person I hated at school. Hate's a strong word. But this was tough. This was tough for wee Timmy back when he was like 11 to about 15. It was a tough time, but anyway, totally off track. Yeah. Bringing it back to the football now. Okay, so you played football, went to uni. Yeah. Uni life. I want to talk about uni life because I think uni life for me especially was a big part of me figuring things out. It was a big change. Obviously, move away from like your local friends, your local environment. I went to England. You went to the North Coast. Cool, yeah. So, how did you kind of find the like uni for your progression? Did you enjoy it? Did you miss home at the start? Like, what kind of way did it go?
There was a lot going on. I guess I was trying to play.
You were still playing. So you played.
I played until 2020. And then I remember December 2020, we got a new manager coming into the 2021 season. We had made it to senior championship, obviously that 2019 year. Yeah. And then we did terribly that year. We just couldn't really match the senior level of competitiveness. Yeah. And then it was coming into the next year where we got new management. And I was kind of like, it was COVID as well. And I was like, you would have to go out and do runs yourself and track everything. But I just wasn't sure I was ready for that. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't like to do something if I'm not 100% in it, and I was kind of already second guessing whether or not I wanted to do another year. Like, you have to think I'd played this for 10 years straight. I hadn't had a break from football. Yeah. And you played club at the same time and uni at the same time. Like, I was playing.
It's a lot intense. Yeah.
And I was kind of like, and I started really getting to love CrossFit at this time. I was like, God, I'd love to like try it a wee bit more. Yeah. And so I had said to Mum, and this is kind of brings it back to the identity where I was like, I don't know if I want to keep playing county, but if I don't play county, does that not, I won't be anything to anybody anymore because Got you. It's the thing that made me important to other people. Yeah. And if in my head that's right, like obviously that's not the truth, but in my head that's what it was. So I was like, if I don't do this, like honest to God, I remember bawling my eyes out, ringing the manager at like 10 p.m. at night being like, okay, I've thought about this for about a month. I contacted my old managers and was like, do you think this is okay? Like, am I making a big mistake if I don't play? Yeah. Oh, I was making a real scene out of the whole thing. And anyway, when I rang him, he's like, no, here, I have to go think about it the night and sure, I'll call you back, real culture. And I was like, no, I will not sleep. I cannot.
I need to know now.
I'm telling you I'm not coming, so just take my word and that's it done. Yeah. And I fully rang him back about 4 times before he answered the phone. And he was like, what is it? And I was like, I'm actually not doing it this year, I'm sorry. And then I proceeded to cry for about a week. And then I realised I was overreacting and it was totally fine. Because I started then just doing CrossFit a bit more. Yeah. But...
This was after uni, obviously?
This was during uni. So obviously I started uni in 2017, so this was 2020, so I was like final year uni coming into this. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying, like I was playing uni, blah blah blah, playing club, the whole thing. Yeah. And then when I started uni, my parents were also separating. Yeah. So I was driving to Cáoileánn for an hour and 45 every day in my wee car, and then an hour and 45 home again. So I lived in Greencastle, and it was an hour and 45 to get there from Greencastle. But then maybe 2 or 3 nights a week I would drive to Garrahy to go train, and then you wouldn't be home to 10, and then you'd get up and do the same thing again. So kind of there was a lot happening with that football, and then my mental health was significantly beginning to decline, for sure, because all my friends were in Belfast and I was trying to make friends with people, but I didn't have any. I was like, I don't have the energy, and I just didn't, like, I would go into university and be like, I don't want to be here. Like, I fully was dropping out after about a month. I was like, I don't want to do this. Yeah. And it had nothing to do with the course necessarily.
Everything else was just so much.
I just didn't want to do it. Yeah. I didn't really, I'll not lie, specifically, I didn't like the course in the first year. I just thought it was like, this has nothing to do with food and people, not realising I had to understand the science of it all. Now, I'm like, oh, I wish I paid attention more because I love all that now. But at the time, you don't appreciate it. It's kind of, I was thinking about this today too. It's like when people give you body lotion as like a gift set when you're younger. I know this is like,
I didn't know where that was going. I was like, what?
When people give you them like ritual gift sets when you're younger as like a Secret Santa present, and you're like, this is stupid. Whereas now I'm like, I would love
I totally get it.
Body lotion.
But this is true growth. This is true growth, because it's like, you used to get a set and you're like, oh, they've bought that out of Home Bargains, like a last minute, and you're just like, I'm not even going to use that. Now I'm like, I never have shampoo.
And I love
I'm like, well, come on, Christmas, give me more, give me socks, give me all of it, because it's like, it's so true. And it comes back to, I just don't think you appreciate things like that when you're younger.
Whereas now I'm like, I'd love to take like a topic a month, do like a full study day, like rehash everything, that kind of a thing. But anyway, so I really hated uni, and I actually got a message from a mum the other day about her daughter who went on to do dietetics, and she's kind of in the same boat where she's not really enjoying the course. And I think that's something for people to understand, that your course is not necessarily going to reflect the job that you do from that course.
Yep.
Like I think going to uni for science-based courses is really important, because you obviously are learning how to digest evidence-based. You get to critically think about papers and what was good about them, what was bad about them. But for some things, like some jobs, I don't necessarily think university would be the best thing to do. I think it could just be a waste of your time.
Yeah.
But for what I do think it was good to do, because you get to actually learn what it is you're trying to appreciate when it comes to evidence-based papers.
Yeah.
But my course does not reflect what my job is. Like chatting to people, having the crack, chatting about food, their life, and how what all these things that reflect the choices that they make. And I didn't know that until placement. So if I didn't stick it out the whole way through, I wouldn't have known that. Like I loved my placement, but the first 2 years of my course, I was like,
what am I doing?
What is this? Like it's just science.
But I know, but I feel like uni's getting less and less common now. Like I feel like back in the day, it was like, if you go to uni, that's, it's a really good path to go down. And I get a lot of people asking me, sports science and stuff gets a bad rap sometimes. It's like, oh, that, what do you do, kick a football or something? But it's like, for what I done, I'm actually only one of my only friends that actually is still in sport, fitness, still in that industry. A lot went on to do different things, but I think uni taught me so much more than just the course. Like, especially going to England, like getting out of my comfort zone. I became like, changed my name to Tim on Facebook and everything. This was a big progress for me, because I was like, I actually when I was going to uni, I was like, right, this is the perfect opportunity. I'm like leaving the country. Okay. No one knows who I am. I was Timmy growing up, and kids, people from school still call me Timmy, but I'm like, nah, Tim's cooler. Tim's a cooler name. Went to uni, I was like, right, I'm Tim now, and I just became more of who I am now rather than who I was when I was younger. And I don't know if that would have happened if I had stayed at home around the same people.
I don't think it would have happened if I had went to Belfast, and I know it's literally like an hour drive between them.
But all your old friends would have,
and I wouldn't have had to have gone through like the depression, anxiety, sitting in a room by myself being like, what am I doing? Like,
we need these times.
We need it. Yeah, absolutely. Like, you need to go through it and like make that decision. There was a Mel Robbins podcast I listened to, and I remember I used this to make one of these really big decisions in life. So it was, and basically the thing that she said, and this is something that I use now to apply to all the decisions I make that are like, feel like big ones. It's like, pick the one that you feel like you're getting bigger from, like you're expanding, rather than the one that feels like you're staying in the same place. Or like you're getting smaller. And I remember being like, right, I'm going to apply this to every single thing that I do from now on.
But do you feel, this is something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, loving this therapy session, by the way.
Yes,
but this is something that I've been thinking about. Do you feel like you put more weight on decisions now as you're getting older? Or do you feel like, because when I was younger, I feel like I made a decision and didn't think of the consequences. I was like, go to uni in England? Sweet. Didn't think about the butterfly effect of like what would happen from there and how much my life would be molded. Like, I was going to one uni and then I changed last minute to go to another one. And I always think back going, what if I wouldn't have met any of the friends I had. Whereas now, like, I'm thinking of moving to Australia or thinking of like doing different things in life. And I think more now about the repercussions. I think it's because I'm 28 and a lot of my friends are married with like 3 kids and a dog. I'm like, Jeez, like
I know, but you're not Tim, so you.
Well, exactly. I know, but I feel like I put more weight into. And so one of my friends recently said to me, she was like, "You like." I was like, "Oh, I'm maybe overthinking it a bit," and I was like, "Oh, but I can't leave my parents and my blah blah blah." And she was like, "Just do something for yourself. Like, don't overthink it. Just go and do it."
Again, if you stay here, you're not getting any bigger. You're not expanding.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas if you do go, the easiest thing, you can just come home again.
Like, come back, exactly.
I actually think less about decisions now. Because I came from severe crippling anxiety.
See, I think we done things opposite way, right?
Yeah, like thank God for Owen, because he taught me a lot of this in terms of just being like more chill. I used to be like I couldn't.
He is a chilled out man. I get them vibes.
So
like,
chill.
Yeah.
Owen's my partner, by the way.
Yeah, Owen. Shout out
Owen Donnelly. But he is so chill. Mm-hmm. To like, I used to be like, what are we doing this weekend? And I know that seems so stupid, but like I had to know.
Yeah, he balances you out.
Yeah, I needed to know what time, when, where, XYZ. Like, I needed to know everything. Whereas now, I'm like, oh, sure, whatever. It's grand.
But I think that's good. I think I am very chilled out in like the grand scheme of things. Like, I'm borderline horizontal, but I think when it comes to big decisions, I kind of, this has only happened recently, because when I look back at this year.
But do you think you're having a bit of a partial crisis because you're overthinking the fact you're 28?
Probably, yeah. And it probably comes back to the age thing where I'm like, I didn't think I was ever going to hit 30.
So you're only 3 years older than me. Like.
I know, but I didn't think I was ever going to hit 30. And now it's coming up. I'm like, oh, geez, this is like, but it honestly is. It's just something like, and I still don't I'll go to Australia and I'll not overthink it and I'll be buzzing for whatever happens.
Yeah.
But just in my mind, it's kind of like, I'm thinking, right, this is going to be a year of my life. Whereas when I was younger, I was like, I've got the years to waste.
Yes.
Whereas now I feel like I don't have the years to waste, which is total nonsense. I could waste 5 more years and still be relatively young.
Yes.
I would feel absolutely ancient. But, you know, it is
what it is. Change that mindset.
I know. We need another therapy session. But it's one of them things. But, so you went to uni. I love all these wee side tracks. This is the way my podcasts go. If anyone ever listened to Dirt Civil with me and McCann, this is the way it would always go. It would be like, we'd have a list of topics. We'd speak about absolutely nothing on the sheet. But so you went to uni, you became a dietitian.
Yeah, so went to uni, went through the 3 years, and like I had the loveliest group of friends at university as well that were like, everyone had their own unique personality, like everyone had their own thing, and like it wasn't like I was going into a group, like, you know, when you're in school and it's like, who's like blah blah blah, like I didn't know barely, like I didn't know anyone in my class, didn't know anything, so you kind of just ended up attracting to people that were kind, which
is the nice thing about uni. So
we had like our little group, so that became nice. But like in the first year, I honest to God was like gonna drop out and was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I don't want to be here. And I'll never forget too, I've talked about this on TikTok as well, where it all kind of came to a real, like, and I can't really express how bad things have got. Like, I just remember sitting in that wee dorm room with them random looking curtains that had like green and pink in them, being like, I am just numb. Like, I have no sense of being, like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm doing. Why am I doing this? Like, what's the point?
Yeah.
And I remember sitting at home and everyone else was out in Belfast. And again, I kind of bring it back to this, but I know this seems so mediocre, but I remember just looking on stories and again being like, God, I'm lying in my bed, like not out, not doing anything. Don't even want to be in the university that I'm in. Anxious, overthinking every single thing about my life. Can't calm down. And I remember ringing Lifeline because I had just kind of been like, I don't know what to do. Like, I physically had a panic attack. I was like, I don't know what to do. And so I rang Lifeline and they told me that they had counselling services that was for free and it was 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was something
people probably don't know, by the way.
That's why I kind of brought it up, because it was like, it's not that I was like in a place where I was like, I don't want to be here anymore.
You just needed answers or like some kind of guidance. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm literally at a crossroads. There's 18 million roads and I don't know which one I'm supposed to take. Yeah. And then so I rang them and I kind of explained it to them, and even from talking to that man and his lovely voice, he just kind of calmed me down a wee bit. I was like, it's okay, we'll just talk about it, whatever. I was like, okay. Like, I know.
Was this your first ever experience of like panic attack, anxiety?
Yeah, this was my first ever panic attack. And at the time, I obviously didn't know that that's what it was until after.
So then you overthink it even more, and you're like.
So anytime then after that, I got like.
I'm dying. This is it. I'm done.
Fast heart rate or whatever. I was like, am I having another one?
It's bad.
But so anyway, they told me that they had a 6-week counselling course that you could either go to Belfast to do in person, or you could just do it from your car and like do it on the phone. And so I did it on the phone because I couldn't guarantee I was going to be in Belfast every week. So which was really handy. I would just pull over on the side of the road for an hour at like 6 p.m. on a Monday, and then would chat to this lady. Now I will say, and I actually heard Olivia Neal talk about this on her podcast the other day. I personally didn't find counselling that beneficial for what I needed, because it was like, and so do you remember something that happened with like your father or like your mother when you were younger? And I'm like, I don't really give a fuck what happened when I was younger. I just want to know how to fix it now.
Yes.
So that was probably I think some people do just need it because it lets them talk about things that they don't talk about normally.
Someone to listen as well is a big
Whereas
thing.
I was like, I want action. I need things that actually change my thoughts. Like, why am I thinking like this? And how do I fix it?
You're obviously a very logical, would you say you're a very logical like thinker in terms of...
I just like to have an answer.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is the next thing? I don't like not knowing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then that's when I kind of went on, and I remember it was Kerry McGuigan, and Kerry does like graphics and stuff now, but I just remember I had seen maybe like a year before this is when I was like coming into final year uni, and I travelled for both these years, so actually me and mum had moved out of the house. And we were living in, so I was living in a whole new environment that wasn't my normal home, and I was living in a different place, driving up again, still an hour and a half up, an hour and a half down the road, and then coming into final year, I was like, maybe I'll live up, because I couldn't appreciate, like, now, like, people go to the North Coast for the beach and the coffee, and I'm like, God, I'd love a wee trip to the North Coast, but at the time, I was like, this is the worst place ever for me. I'm isolated, hate it here, the water's not helping, like, it's just terrible, and I didn't appreciate it for what it was. So then, coming into that final year, I was just, because I'd obviously decided not to play county that year, I was like, maybe I'll live up, and it'll take a little bit of the burden off travelling. So it would. So then I got a house with one of the girls that was in like my little friend group at school, and she kind of knew that I wasn't in a good headspace. Shout out Emily, and
so many shout outs.
Yeah, and you got to appreciate all these people because they're all part of the stories.
100%.
And I remember seeing Kerry's Facebook testimonial, it was called, for the Thrive program. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
I've heard you speak about it.
Yeah.
It's about, I think that's
you wouldn't even, like, I feel like it's not known.
Yeah.
Now, I will say,
you spoke about it on the podcast with Sean as well, didn't you?
I did,
think,
yeah. I think he said he had done, like, a total mental performance.
That's right, with Keir. Yeah,
but mine was, like, anxiety. And I think that they work with people that have, like, depression as well, or, like, emetophobia, which is the fear of sickness, which I know is quite, like, new or random, because I didn't know that was something that you would get seen for. I also didn't know it existed, but then again, there's loads of things you don't know exist because you don't experience them on a daily basis. But I had seen that, and she talked about how she had like really bad mental health, and so she went to this guy Niall, Thrive with Niall, he was called on his handles. So I was like, look, at this point, I've done the counselling, I've read all the books, I've listened to all the podcasts. I'll never forget going home one evening to Dromore, sitting in our little house that we knew we weren't going to be in forever, but I was just sitting there, and Mum was sitting on the sofa, and I would cry on a regular basis anyway, but I just remember this one was very intense, because I was like, Mummy, I don't know what to do, and I just was bawling my eyes out to her, and she was like, why? And I was like, I don't know, like, I have, like, from the outside it looked like I had no reason to be sad. I had a car, I had football, I had like friends, I was in like a good friend group, everyone like had Owen, like all this different stuff, but I was just so sad, so anxious. Like, at the time too, I couldn't go to the gym, I couldn't go into a coffee shop to order coffee, like stuff that now I'm beautiful. But it seems so, and like you probably look at me, you're like, wise up, and I'm like, no, like actually.
I completely get it. But I feel like we neglect. I feel like whenever we go into these spirals of
they never
feeling kind of like a.
Looking back, I'm like, gosh, it's so mad to think how bad it was, and I can never find the words to express how bad it was.
Yeah.
And I feel like I always undermine how bad it was because I'm so far past it now.
Yeah.
But Jesus, it was bad. Like, it was, and I just was like, God, I would wish this on nobody. And then anyway, so I was crying, and I always said to Mum that night, I was like, it feels, she was like, what is it? She was like trying to get me to explain it. And I remember saying to her, I was like, it's like, like those ant colonies. And it's like, I always think about Scorpion King for some reason, but there's like ant colonies in that or something like that.
Yeah.
Where they just come out and all the ants start filling up like the sand in the desert area, and it's just thousands of ants. Those ants are my little thoughts, and they're all negative, and they don't stop coming out of the little holes in the ground. That's what my brain was like, and that's why I always was like, I just want up here to be empty and to be quiet. Like, that's, I just remember that. Oh, Jesus Christ. So I was like, right, I'm gonna contact this man, I don't care, I need something, I've done everything else. And Mum was like, but like, what about the books and and I've listened to every piece of self-development, self-personal growth that I could listen to, and nothing is working because I didn't know how to apply it. Like, I didn't have the tools. They were like, manifest this, and then I started overthinking manifestation, thinking I was manifesting my family getting cancer, do you know, like it was just going too far, and I was like, I need something else. So then I wrote to him, and he had like a free consultation, and I can't even explain what the Thrive program was. It's not counselling because he doesn't really let you talk about your past, which is kind of what I wanted. Cause I don't really
more
care.
Suited more what you wanted.
It was, he had like his little, and it worked. I was like, this is a sign, because when I went to him, he was in Coleraine or Dungannon.
Right.
And obviously I was in Coleraine, and this was another reason why I was thinking of living up this year. Like, it means I can go to see him every week then. Yeah. So it worked out really well. So my first week, maybe I was like a month or something into third year, and I went on, it worked out perfectly because he had a Thursday morning free, and I had a free on a Thursday morning. My class didn't start till like 11. I said, it's all falling into place.
Yeah, love it.
And I went in, and it just, I still can't explain what it was, but I just remember talking to him, and he was like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how real with me, or how real with you do you want me to be? And I was like, a 10. And he's like, right. And he just started cursing at me, but like in a just a chill, like colloquial way. Being like, what the fuck's going on, that kind of a way or whatever, but not relating it back to my past. Like what happened with like a brother or a family member and all this nonsense.
It was more proactive. You felt. Okay, like, got you.
You're thinking this way, and this is how we're going to change it. But from the first session, he doesn't really give very much away. It's not like he's giving out his tips and tricks in the first session. So this is so funny too, but I just, as a heads up, it was fairly, like, at that time, and it actually is still very expensive. And I remember going to the credit union. I had to like take a loan out to pay for it, but I was like, this is an investment in my overall health. Like, I need this. And I remember going to mum, because obviously with the divorce and everything that was going on too, it's not like I could ask mummy for the money to pay for it. So I was like, Mum, I'm going to go to the credit union. She's like, are you sure about this? And I was like, I need this. Like, I need something. Blah blah blah. So that's how, like, it was a big thing for me. And so I remember going every single week, would show up, and he would kind of just, like, we would talk about different things every week. Like, I'll always remember, like, the first session he talked about, like, your shit tinted spectacles or your rose tinted spectacles. And basically whatever your internal monologue is how you view the world, essentially. So if up here is shit and it's chaotic, that's what you're going to see on a day-to-day basis, whereas if up here is quiet and peaceful, obviously that's how you're going to see more from the world. That's why a lot of the time I would always say now, watching your language, because exactly whatever you're feeding your brain and the conversations you have on a daily basis, you're going to see more of that. The same way if someone says to you, don't look for a red car, you're still going to see a red car because someone brought up a red car, and you're going to see that for the rest of the day. Or if you're looking for a new car, I used to always remember this, I was obsessed with wanting to get an Audi TT, and I would see them.
And you've got one?
I've got one now. That's another story.
It sounded good when you pulled in. Like, I was like, that's a nice car. And also the number plate and everything looks good.
Owen got me that. But what was I going to say? My whole family were all we're like motorheads. But what was I going to say? Just like the things that obviously you feed yourself on a daily basis, that's what you're going to see more of. And the story he told was, this lady walks into, like, let's just say it's Belfast, Victoria Square, something like that. She walks in with her family and her 2 kids and her husband's with her, and she's like, it was Christmas time and the place was chaotic. Like, I didn't know, like, I had a full-blown panic attack. Like, there was kids running around, there was music playing, and people were like, it was just so chaotic. Like, she was like, I don't, like, know how to manage it. And she was like, right, well, how did your husband manage it then? Surely he had a panic attack as well. And she was like, what do you mean? She was like, well, he walked into the same thing, so surely he's going to be having a panic attack as well. So it just goes to show that even though we're in the same environment,
we're creating it in our mind.
Here is how you're actually viewing it.
That's nice. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, it always I really do.
Things do stick with you whenever they, like, I always find, like, we hear motivational quotes all the time, right? But I always say to people, they're absolutely pointless if you don't actually, listen to what they're saying. But something like that is really powerful. And it's like, even the way you speak to yourself, I find like everything you say is so powerful. And that little thing she said, that's probably stuck with you, and that's a positive that stuck with you, the same way that a negative will stick. Going back to what we talked about at school, I still remember my teacher. Wee Timmy's still struggling, but it is like, it's so like, you can have such an impact. And I think that moves it nicely into your kind of growth on social media, and now your impact, which I'm sure, because you have probably said things similar to what she said in the sense of what he said, in terms of like 2 people thinking, obviously both are having a panic attack, but it's in your own mind. So you probably say things that other people, this is the influence that you have, other people probably take and they're like, oh wow, that actually struck a chord with me. So now talk to me about social media. Where did that start? Where did the whole be a better you, I got it, be a better you kind of come about, and the whole social media presence, the growing in followers, and you giving advice and adding value, like where did that all come from?
Okay, so I suppose that kind of flows nicely from like where we finished off there with the whole Thrive with Niall thing. So I think doing the Thrive with Niall, it was like maybe 3 or 4 months. So essentially I would go down for every week. And I remember me and Emily, in the evening time, she would come in and she'd be like, "Are you okay tonight?" And I'm like, "Just doing my homework," because he would give you homework to do each week from the book or whatever. And then I think she could even see the progression, and like I was feeling better, and I would start then. He would set tasks. Like, I remember there was a task where he was like, "You have to text me first thing in the morning. 3 things that are good that day," or something along those lines. And I like maybe didn't text him to 4 p.m. I remember walking in that week and he had the board and he had these numbers on the board, and he was like, "Do you recognize these?" And I was like, "No." And he goes, "That's the times you messaged me at." He's like, "Does that look like the morning to you?" And he was like, I was like, "Oh fuck, like sorry." And he's like, "No, like what's the point in us being here if you're not going to actually do what we're trying to do?" And I was like, "Sorry, I didn't mean." But I was like kind of like,
"Jeez, Niall, really with that, you love it."
But he did. He asked me at the beginning. He's like 1 to 10. Where So I said 10.
You set yourself up.
So essentially, it was kind of like reflective of the way that I look at that now. Is like I was starting to feel better because maybe that was like week 8, and it reflects what a lot of people do now, where they start to feel better and they stop doing what made them feel better, and all of a sudden they fall back into the old habits again. Because like maybe it was journaling or it was going to the gym that made you feel better, and then you're like, "Oh well, I feel better now," so other priorities come into play. And you stop doing it again.
What makes you feel good?
Yeah. So anyway, one of the tasks he'd set me was to go to the gym, I remember. And so all these little things I think back now were like helping me build in confidence and a wee bit more self-worth, that I don't need other people to validate me, that I can be a whole person by myself. That kind of a way. And it was hard too, because obviously when my mental health started declining, and me and Owen me and Owen had actually had a wee mini break, which I think as well is reflective of a lot of people going through. I think now it's even worse because you've social media and stuff, and it can be a lot more worse if you're insecure, and I was very insecure. So in the relationship I was just constantly like trying to overdo, like thinking things that Owen had not, like Owen was chill, but I was I was overthinking everything to the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore, that kind of a way. Like I need to figure out who I am before I'm in a relationship with somebody else, because I just wasn't a person. Like I just didn't know who I was, and I was just doing everything to please other people. So then we actually broke up for a period of time, R.I.P., but don't worry, we found our way back, and it was the best thing ever. Because at least now we're 2 secure, healthy people together. And I'm like, thank God.
And that probably needed to happen.
100%. And people don't actually know that happened too, because I think when you look at me and it's like, oh, happy whatever.
I remember seeing it. I remember you chatting about it on a reel or something.
I know I don't talk about that often, because I think sometimes it's not reflective of now, but I think
it's good to talk about, because I feel like some people probably go through it, and I know breakups here, I ain't no relationship counselor, far from it, but I feel like sometimes you gotta go through like breaking up. You feel like it's the end of the world. You're like, oh no, like. But
I think that helped me now shape how I view how I can help other people.
Your relationship's probably 100 times better because of it.
Thousands. And even how my relationship with myself and my friends, all that, I feel like I have now got something to give other people in terms of how I can help them. Because at the end of the day, if we're kind of bringing it back to dietetics, how you feel. If maybe not, I'm not sure if you've went through this, but like if you're texting somebody or you're in a relationship and you do have a breakup, that's going to reflect the choices you make with your food. If you eating disorders, all this different stuff, all that can stem from one thing like that happening. So having that understanding that like a lot of, for example, if I get a disordered eating or eating disorder, a lot of it does stem from relationships and a poor relationship with yourself, and not knowing that's the only thing that you feel like you can control. So I'm like, thank God I went through all that, because now I actually feel like I can help people with that. It's not just nutrition. It's like, okay, what's affecting the nutrition actually personally. Anyway, so let's bring it back to how Be Better You Came from.
But also I feel like that's where true value, just to kind of jump in, I feel like that's where true value comes from, is when you've lived something yourself, you can then speak about it purely authentically. You're not trying to be someone else. You've been like, I've been here, I experienced this is what helped me. But I don't even try, like it's not like I'm telling people. No, exactly. And everyone's different. What your experience is might be something different to someone else, but it just feels like a little bit more. Exactly.
And then when I was thinking about all this, I loved Food Medic. Hazel Wallace, do you follow her? She's from
I think I do.
She's amazing, and I just remember being obsessed with her when I was younger. I was like, I want to be like her.
She's one of the OGs, like, isn't she? Like,
big time. She's been in the game for like 10 years or something. But I remember I only started following her maybe when I was like, that was another reason I think why I chose dietetics, because I really just liked her. And then when I was going through uni, though, it's not like I had this desire to make an Instagram page or make a TikTok or anything like that. And then I think it was when I started feeling better myself after like the Thrive program. I was like, okay, I actually am a confident person. Do you know, that kind of way. And then I remember I started placement for university, and again I was like kind of standing on my own 2 feet. Me and Owen had broke up, so I really was forced to like, I had to be a whole person by myself, that kind of a way. So this was all going on, and I'd started my own little cupcake business, and I remember doing that, and I was like, oh, like, this is actually Cáoileann's cupcakes, throwback. And I was like, right, look, like stuff that I never thought I could do. And I'd like left county football at this point to just do gym like by myself, like do CrossFit. And a lot of this was like, oh, you're a whole, like you have a whole set of things that is just you, it's not anybody else, and you're not getting validation from other people. And I was like, I started thinking, gosh, could I make something that's, as much as I'm a dietitian, I don't want it to solely be nutrition, because I know for me everything else is what actually improved my nutritional choices and me wanting to go and exercise, and myself, like a lot of people have critical anxiety about even going to the gym. Okay, so how do we help that? Because then if you start going to the gym, then you're actually like, okay, this is making me feel better, so maybe I'll start improving my nutrition to help with that. See how it all kind of spirals. So I was like, I'd love to have something that encompasses everything, that's not just nutrition. So you might see a lot of people that'll have like their name and then nutrition, and I was like, I don't want that, because I also don't want it to just be about me. I want it to be like the idea of just being a better person, do you know, kind of a way. Like anytime you chat, like a lot of the people I'll ask, I'll be like what's the goal? And like, I honestly just want to feel better. I just want to, do you know? So initially it was be a better you, BIA, better you. So BIA is obviously food. Irish for food. Got you. And that kind of encompassed it slightly better, but then I didn't realize somebody had trademarked it, so I had to change it.
Oh really?
Yeah, so I got an email being like a cease and desist, and I was like, oh shit. But I was like, that's fine, I'll just change it to be a better you, it's grand, like it's no issue. I swear there's like be like other companies now. Oh, loads, but I got we'll not talk about it. It's totally fine. Hey, look. Hey, we moved on. Be a better you. Be a better you. It's its own thing. It is what it is. It's totally fine. And it's the same premise. It's still. I laughed about this too. I didn't realize like it's like abbreviations, baby. Like
oh yeah.
Like it's actually baby. I was like, oh gosh, lol. Didn't realize that. But anyway. So when I created that, that's why I was like, right, it's not just nutrition, it's okay, we can talk about mindset here, we can talk about movement, we can encompass everything, because obviously I coach CrossFit as well, so I love that whole side of things. But that's probably where it was born. Now in terms of the TikTok and everything like that, I used to post like random videos of me making cupcakes on it. It wasn't even like, I never used
on the same account.
On the
this
same
has
account.
all been the same
like
account.
If you scroll to the very, very first
that's what I'm gonna do after go back to
like
see
random
cupcake, just
like it was like 5 or 6 random cupcake videos, but I never used TikTok before that. Like it was like I just posted them to make something I could post on Instagram.
It
was like still had the watermark and everything, so amateur.
Amateur mistake.
So amateur, I know. Oh god. But
I hate when I see I hate when I see a TikTok watermark. Like I'm like.
And then I remember, I don't know what it was. I just sat the phone up one night by my bed and I like read. I loved these books. It was when I was really going through like my self-development time. And there were like Cáoileánn Aura by Billy Chapita. All his poem books were like I loved them. And then Jenna Cecilia, I loved her poem books as well. But they were all, and I still post them and talk about them all the time, but I would start reading them at night time and then talk about what my thought, like almost like English literature, where you would read something and be like, okay, how does this apply, or what was the author trying to do there? But I kind of take the poem and like apply that to real life. And I remember I started doing that more and started talking about like anxiety and depression and like what I was going through and how things that I did, like proactive, like what can I do to help with this, because that was like the issue where people would be like, oh, I'm sad, okay, well, like how did you get over that? So how do we fix that? That's like, what are the tools? And that's what I wanted to start posting more. Now that was a fluke. I did not plan that to be what it is. You know what I mean? And so then obviously it stemmed more when I started building the Instagram. I did want the Instagram to, it was more of a like business too. TikTok tends to be like that, doesn't it? Especially over like lockdowns. And like, even now I still don't really post specific, like I'll post like recipes and stuff, but majority of the stuff on TikTok is just like chill, chatting, having the crack. Like sometimes I'm doing like get ready with me, sometimes I'm doing like go a day in the life, like gym, like chatting shit, like anxiety, like all these different things. We're just talking about everything. I just love the chillness of it over there, whereas Instagram's a bit more curated, which you would know yourself anyway, just like looking at people's feeds and stuff. But the Instagram was definitely, I was trying to make a business from that. Like I wanted to have clients and stuff.
Yeah.
But I remember I had made the logo and I had made the Instagram and I had the whole username and page, but I hadn't posted anything and I hadn't told anybody about it either.
Yeah.
I mean, we were back together at this point. I think maybe nearly were we back? Oh, we had only got back together actually because I had made it in like March time, and I created my logo and everything. And then I remember we were sitting in Cafe Nero no more one day, and I showed it to him, and I was like, "What do you think of this? Like, is it stupid? What do you think? Like, is it okay?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, it looks grand." And then he'd lock the phone, and I was running late because I was going to get my nails done. I know, girl things, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was driving. I started getting these notifications on my phone in the car. He had went and posted the photo on the Instagram page, and I was like, "What?"
Yes.
So he essentially
shout out Owen.
He started the page, so we have to give him a shout out for that because I had created the logo and like wrote the caption, but I was too scared to post it.
And you hadn't posted?
No.
Purely out of fear?
Purely out of fear. I was like, I had it for 2 months and I didn't post it. And then he took it and he was like reading through it and he's like, it looks good. Hands the phone back to me and I was like, fuck, I must go. Like, I have to go to my nail appointment. And next thing, I was already posted. So that was actually the start of it. That was like July, I think, in 2021.
Yeah.
And then, so it's been going well since then. It's great. Like, obviously, the way Instagram works has changed an awful lot since then as well.
Changing all the time.
All the time. So the content you post differs too, but I'm trying to keep it that it's not, like, I want it to be helpful and not nonsense, essentially, like, because a lot of it, you would just see a lot of nonsense on social media. But it's finding a way to make it evidence-based, helpful, but it's in a very easily digestible way, do you know, kind of way. And then maybe there's some helpful get ready with me's, maybe there's some like bit of crack, bit of makeup and stuff just to like balance it out a wee bit, because at the end of the day, being better might just be having better makeup, having better clothes, having whatever. So it's just encompassing everything, essentially. That's like the goal. And then I did start YouTube, and obviously I have the podcast, but it's when everything's yourself, and then that's like the productivity anxiety we were chatting about before we even started this, where I overthink then posting some stuff. And I do think I've kind of got to a point as well where, remember I was saying, other things become a priority when you feel like you're doing well, and then you stop doing the stuff that keeps you on the straight and narrow. I'm like, gosh, Killian, you need to really hone back to what keeps you right. Like, I need to be making sure I'm doing my vision boards and doing my journaling and getting all that sort of overthinking out. And I think that's probably something I need to channel into the podcast myself. But I think that's the biggest thing, because the first time I ever experienced, like, going back, like, health anxiety and stuff like that, which I was, as I said, borderline horizontal, never was anxious, never had any kind of feelings like that until I moved to London, and everything got a bit manic. I employed someone in my business, and it was all a bit mad, going from the middle ass end of nowhere in Tyrone to London, tubes, like, everything's so, like, intense. And no one talks on the tube.
No one talks.
And
it's
I'm
just
so used to
I know, it's such a like different environment. And then I stopped doing everything that made me feel good. I stopped doing like yoga, I stopped drinking my pint of water in the morning, I stopped doing this. And then I was like, I woke up one time and I was like, McCann wasn't sleeping with me, by the way, he was in a different room. I woke up one day and went, McCann just turned over, just cuddled each other. But I went into his room and I was like, McCann, I'm having a heart attack. We need to go to the doctor. We need to go to the doctors. I was like, I didn't smile at the time either, because I genuinely thought I was having a heart attack. I was like, someone's grabbing my heart, and like, I've got shooting pains down my left arm, which, you know, if you Google, you're like, dead. That's a heart attack. I'm dead. So great stuff. Rang my mum. I was like, Mum, I'm dead. Sorry to tell you. But which she felt great living at home, being able to do absolutely nothing about it. Went to the hospital, and like the doctor was like, you need to just live life more. London doctor, great stuff. No, that's a whole different story. This was a London hospital was like the weirdest experience. This was like just after COVID. There was people borderline just everywhere in the waiting room. Like people borderline dying in the waiting room. And I was like, I went in and he was like, your heart, your ECG's fine, everything's fine.
You're just having a panic attack, essentially?
Panic attack. Everything was stressful. It was just all culminated into this. Culminated? Is that a word? Yeah. We'll go with it. Into this one point, and that's it. And I was having heart palpitations and all. It lasted for about a year and a half. Still would sometimes get them, but I'm well in control of it. So he was like, you know, you're young. I don't know. Maybe he wasn't even a doctor. Who knows? But he kind of just was like, whenever you hear a doctor go, just chill out, it actually made me just chill out a bit more.
I think, honest to God, and this is the problem I think with social media, like, everything I'm posted is in a bid to like help someone make sense of what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and be like, there's a reason for it, right? But then I think sometimes if you hear from someone that seems like they have a title or they're accredited, it's almost just a little bit of reassurance. Like your friend could be telling you the exact same thing, but you don't believe it because they're your friend and they're not a doctor.
100%.
And that's probably another thing if we flip it on its head, where it's like, as we say, anyone could call themselves a nutritionist.
Yeah.
PTs
I think it comes from trust. I think it comes from trust, because even growing up, if my mum would say, "Don't eat 2 apples or you'll die," like this was this like old wives' tale that she had up until I was about 24. I was like, if I seen a friend eating 2 apples, I was like, "Mate, are you all right?" Like,
maybe 2 bananas, but not 2 apples.
But I know, but it was these little things that her mum had told her,
and
it's because you trust the person, and I think that's why this kind of comes into what I wanted to ask you about. Do you ever feel pressure on social media? Because you put pressure on yourself, you don't feel pressure from others.
Honest to God, every person that follows me, and I'm very grateful that I don't get very many hate. Not like I don't get trolls. Very much. There's a few but I really don't get very much. And I used to be really affected by it, but again, Owen's helped me navigate that, and he's like, "Cáoileánn, you're gonna get that." And I think even when I was chatting to Sean about this, he was like, at the end of the day, you're not gonna have everyone that's gonna like you, and that's just the case. And I was like, right, okay, I need to approach it with a better mindset. But majority, and this is your vibe attracts your tribe, if we're gonna be cliche about it, but honestly, the people that follow me are class. Everyone's so civil, so supportive, and so helpful, and I'm just so such
your own
nice
little community.
I always call them the gang. But that's the problem too.
The baby gang.
No, definitely not. Well, not, guys, don't be offended. Don't listen to what he just said.
Well, the baby gang.
No.
Why not?
Just the gang. Oh my God.
Sorry,
the baby gang.
You're the expert. Go ahead. I think that sounds good, baby gang.
No, stop it.
Just the gang, guys.
Just the gang. Jeez, people will be exiting the
program. I know, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
But that's the problem, where on social media, people think if they have a blue tick or they've got something before their name, that means that they can trust them. And the problem is people spout nonsense just for views, for engagement, for virality. And yes, that's good in a sense for them to grow their platform, but that doesn't necessarily mean everything they're posting is something you should be taking on board for yourself. Geez, it's so damaging, some of the stuff that you might see. It's even the other day, it was some company that was promoting, and obviously there's legal terms in terms of ads and everything like that, but I was scrolling on my TikTok, and obviously because I'm a dietitian, they'd hashtag dietitian, so it came up on my For You page, but it was ways to lose 10 pounds in 2 weeks as a dietitian, but it was drink celery juice and then some other 2 random things that were completely, you would not recommend if you were a dietitian. And at the end it was this gold colostrum. Turns out it was the company, the colostrum, that had made this TikTok just to try and sell their product, but they were pretending that they had a dietitian. And I was like, people would believe that. They had millions of views because it said as a dietitian on the front. And I was like, people commented, be how much celery juice and blah 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 and how much of this.
But that's crazy.
I'm like, you just don't know how much nonsense is out there. It's so damaging.
That reminds me of Woman's Own.
What's that now?
No, this it's I look at the example of my granny. You know, a Woman's Own magazine or an OK magazine or a gossip, a magazine, and it's on the front it's Deirdre lost 3 stone from such and such. My granny will say to me, she'll be like, "Oh, I was reading this, blah blah blah," and then I know she's read something in a magazine, and it's apple cider vinegar is that's the fix and everything.
Get it done. Yeah, that was one of the things, and that was a teaspoon
of apple cider vinegar. And gummies, and then in the end up, you realise it's a company trying to flog their product, which is so true. And I feel people are we take it for granted, right? Because we've kind of learned, we've both studied it, and we kind of, exactly.
And when you're around, and this is something I had to learn when I started, because obviously we actually skipped over the fact I worked in the hospital for nearly 2 years as well.
Oh yeah.
And that was another reason why I really wanted to make the business and have my own clients, because I just personally felt, because obviously you have a care pathway and there's a ceiling to the level of care that you can provide within the hospital space, and you can't be available 24/7 to somebody, and you can't just help, you can't just spend the 20-minute session talking about their mental health. You have to give some form of nutrition advice. It's there's boundaries essentially.
100%.
Whereas yes, I have boundaries, but the whole point is that we're getting to the root cause. It's not just eat this and don't eat that. And I just felt that was the level of the care really that I could try and give in the hospital. I wanted to give a lot more. I just felt I could help people
you have more a holistic approach.
But then you only realise when you're surrounded by those people, if I didn't have that clinical placement, I didn't have the clients that I have, you think, because you might be in the gym and you're surrounded by people that are glued in and might not even glued in, but they've tried it before, they have some sort of awareness of okay, yes, a calorie deficit is how you lose weight, or I should be eating X amount. Some people just they don't know.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine, but they can follow the wrong people and make it even worse.
Yeah.
And end up with things like eating disorders or obesity or cardiovascular disease, diabetes, all these different things, or just terrible eating habits, which then affect their self-worth, then their relationships, then their job, and everything.
Spirals in it, which is why I think education and coaching is so important. Like so many coaches, I think, just say, here's this, do that, instead of going, right, let's take it back, let's strip it way back, this is why you're doing it. Like, you need to understand why, so you can build a realization of what things are, and also so you don't fall victim to Instagram rubbish again, which is something that I always say to my clients. It's like, someone will see something on Instagram, oh, I seen this, should I do this, should I do that? And I'm like, look, let's bring it back, let's figure out what you need, and let's figure out why you're doing it, so then you can understand yourself. So you're essentially becoming like your own coach in a way, like in the long term. You
can be independent.
Yeah, which I think is super important. But so I want to kind of talk, I'm worried of time as well, I don't want to keep you forever, but we're just chatting away, which is great. I want to talk, you went through a lot of injury stuff recently as well, ACL. I want to talk about your kind of time with that, because did you do your ACL before? Or is this is first ACL?
I hyperextended my knee in football.
Right, okay.
And that's what actually ended the full football career.
Right.
So I remember.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I ended my football county career in 2020.
Yeah.
And then 2021 I was still going to play club. I had finished uni at this point. I was working or whatever. And then, so I was working in the hospital at this time, and I'd started kind of trying to be about a wee bit more, so I was like doing it at the time, and I had the cupcakes as well. And then but it just meant I had more time to put into club, so I was delighted. And I remember that this was like my first year. I was like, I got captain again as like senior captain. I was like buzzing, delighted. First, I think it was the second or third game we were on, we were doing really, really well. I was buzzing, just loving it, and hyperextended my knee against Cáoileánn one day. Oh, the pain, it was so bad.
Agony.
But I didn't get an MRI or anything done after that. They just told me I hyperextended it and it would be fine. Yeah. But that really played on me mentally, being like, oh, because you obviously have to learn to stop and go again. And I did it by like, the hyperextension's like if you straighten your arm and it goes too far that other way. Yeah. So the same thing happened with my leg, where I like stopped to stop, and my knee went too far back. Oh, I know. It was rotten. So that had me out for a good lot of months, and I did try to rehab and come back to football. Yeah. But I ended up I was still able to do CrossFit even though I'd hyperextended the knee. I just wasn't able to play football because you have to obviously be able to have like that change of direction, the stability in the knee to do that, and I didn't have that at the time, whereas I could still, like, CrossFit's fairly straight on, like it's not like I'm changing direction. If I was able to, I could change it for something that I wasn't changing direction. So I started doing CrossFit a lot more then. That was maybe April 2021, I think. And then I kind of ended up becoming very obsessed with, like, I remember June that year, I hadn't got back to football. Yeah. And I went and I was like, right, I'm going to do my level 1 for CrossFit so then I can maybe coach it. So I went and got my level 1, and then I wrote to PD, the guy that owns the gym, and I was like, so I went and got my level 1. I'm just wondering if you have any slots available. I would love to learn to coach CrossFit. Yeah. So that worked out really well. So now I take the inductions in Chalk in Oma. So anyway, apart from that, then I got just like, right, I just love CrossFit, and it was the first time really, like, I had started CrossFit, like I dabbled with it for a few years before that, but obviously with county you weren't able to be like at it every week committed. You would take months off at a time, then come back for a little bit period, and then I was just like, right, I think I'm just going to not go back to football for a while and just focus on CrossFit for a bit. So I still haven't went back to football. The end. And then the following year was like, because I'd obviously committed to doing CrossFit, like, and I would have trained 6 days a week anyway just with football. So I'm used to training 6 days a week. It's not like I went up in your load massively. I wasn't a guy who was training 3 days a week and then going to training 6 days a week, obsessed. I had trained 6 days a week since I was like 14, just with club, county, whatever. So that meant that I was getting a lot fitter in CrossFit and like able to do a lot more of the movements and stuff like that. So that was like January would be like, we have the Open in CrossFit. I was buzzing for the Open this year because I was like, that was like that was this year, 2023. So I had like grinded away for the year, and was like the fittest I'd been for CrossFit, like, obviously, and that was the 30th. And I remember we were doing gymnastics the day before my ACL
30th of December?
The 30th of January.
30th of January. Got you.
And I remember I was so excited because the Open was in 2 weeks, and I was just feeling really, really fit, really good. My gymnastics were finally good for once. The next day we were in class and we were doing just clean and jerks. Now this could happen to anybody essentially, and like it's more prevalent within like GA and like soccer and like field sports and stuff. But I do believe my ACL was injured from my hyperextension injury, because the way that I tore my ACL is not in line with how you would typically tear your ACL very much. So anyway, I was doing like a clean and jerk, which is like a barbell clean from the floor. Yeah. And then you jerk into a split jerk.
Yep. Got you.
So, but we were going for a heavy 2 RM. So I had already built up, and we were going for, I was like, right, let me just try. I wanted to get 75 for
2 rep max for anyone.
2 rep max, sorry, yeah. And I was like, at the time, I think my 1 RM was like 80. And I was like, gosh, if I can get this 75 for 2, I'll be delighted. Because in my head, I'll be like, right, I can definitely clean and jerk more than 80 kilo. Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And so I was like getting psyched up, was buzzing. Did the first one at 75, and so you're not allowed to drop the bar in between. You have to, that's why it's a 2 rep max. You have to go straight in. Yeah. So did the first one, delighted. Sweet. Came down to the shoulder reset, down to the hip, almost like you're going in to hit the ground again, like a deadlift. That's when I tore my ACL. Like, it's not like it was in the split jerk or in the catch of the clean. In essentially doing a deadlift, my knee just went from underneath me. Right. And I tore my ACL. I know. So my thought process was it was injured before that.
Yeah. There had to be something.
There had to be something. Yeah. But anyway, so from that I didn't know I'd torn it, and then had to go get an MRI. I did go privately for the MRI, because I know some people would be like, did you get, because I would get a lot of messages about that, and I'd be like, I did, I went private to get it done because I wanted to get it checked ASAP, and I didn't want to wait. And I was very privileged to be in a position to be able to do that, but got that within like a week. And then Timmy McGinn, he's going on to be a doctor now, but he was one of the coaches in the gym, and he was a physio, and he was working with Martin McCrory and Oma, and I was like, right, Timmy, hit me up, like, what's the info? So he got the report back, and he's like, come meet me at the gym and I'll explain it all to you what happened. So essentially on the MRI it said I'd torn everything. I had torn my ACL, my MCL, and my meniscus, which they call it the unhappy triad, right?
Yeah, it doesn't sound very happy.
No, and I really thought, like Timmy said to me, he's like, I think you've just torn your meniscus, it's nothing crazy. Yeah. So I was kind of going and optimistic that I wasn't going to need surgery or anything. Yeah. And then when I was chatting to him, he was like, yeah, so you've torn everything. And I was like, well, what does this mean? Like, what's the next plan? And he was like, you're going to have to get surgery if you want to essentially be like some people will tear their ACL and not get surgery. Yeah. But it does limit some of the movements you're able to do, because you'll not have that stability essentially in the knee. But you can still obviously do CrossFit and things like that. But I didn't want to have to scale things back. Yeah, change you wanted to be able to get back. Yeah. I was like, I want to just be able to do everything.
Get it done now so I can build it up.
Yeah, so then I was like, right, let me get the surgery sorted. So got surgery. I think there was like an 8-week gap. I went to the Belfast Knee Clinic with Chris Connolly. He was unreal. Again, it was private. I'm not gonna. I probably wouldn't even have it yet if I had went through the NHS. Yeah. So I just wanted to get it done, and went to him in Belfast. And I think it was like an 8 or 10 week period that I had between tearing the ACL and getting it done. So it was the 13th of April I got it done, but I tore it on the 1st of February. But in that period of time, a lot of people I think don't know what to do, and I was very much on. I was like, right, what do I need to do? So I said to Timmy, and Timmy was like, just try and get it as strong as you can. And I was very helpful that obviously the gang was like, people in the gang had obviously torn their ACL on TikTok, on Instagram, and they were like sending me messages of what to do. One guy I remember specifically, he had said, imagine it's a 100-story flight of stairs you're going up. If you do good prehab, which is before the surgery, you'll only have 70 to climb instead of 100. Yeah. So I was going into being right, let me try and get this leg as strong as I can, because you just immediately within the first week, it's crazy how small your wee quads get. I was like, where's my leg at? Oh my God, it was so weird. It's literally like half the size. So muscle mass just dissipated. So,
really? That quickly?
So quick. Like, just gone. See you later. And so I was really working hard to try and get this leg built up. A lot of unilateral work, like doing box jumps and doing like single leg squats and Bulgarians and all this jazz to try and build the leg up before surgery. And I do think that helped a lot when I came into surgery. So then immediately after the surgery, I was like, right, what do I need to get done? And I was very grateful for the physio that I had, because again, you can kind of tell, I was like, right, what do I need to do to get where I want to go? That was like my thought process, because I'm not staying like this forever. And I had like already had my physio booked from like a week after. And I went to her, and she was like, I had thought I was doing great this first week, because I had like got like my wee band, and I was trying to move my leg, because you really have like you cannot move your knee once you get your surgery done. But that's the point, you have to get it moving, otherwise it will not move if you don't move it yourself. And so when I went to her, she was like, you know, what age you? And at the time I think I was 24, and she was 24, and she's like, and what way were you beforehand, or like before you got your surgery? And I was like, yeah, I had full range of movement before surgery. She's like, to be honest, I was expecting you to have this a lot further along by now. And in my head,
You were flying?
I was but in my head when she said that, I was like, I'm terrible. I am shit.
Yeah.
How do I not have this leg going more?
Yeah.
Which was probably what I needed to hear, that I wasn't like, I was very much in the victim mindset of, oh, my ACL, oh, my leg, oh, my knee hurts, oh, I got surgery.
Yeah.
Whereas immediately when she said that, I was like, right, can get your shit together. Like,
you
need to get this knee going, because otherwise you're just going to be staying exactly where you are.
Yeah.
So literally from that, I made it like, and now we have to remember, I obviously worked fully for myself at this time. Like I went fully self-employed December last year. So I had the time to be able to make it a part-time, like I fully made it my job. This ACL rehab was like 4 times a day. 1 hour was on the game ready, which is like the thing you wrap around your knee for swelling. Half an hour was for NMES, so electrode muscular stimulation, half an hour for flexion, half an hour for extension, and repeat 4 times a day. Do you know that kind of a way? And that was like the way it was for a full like 6 weeks before I was able to go to the gym.
Premier League.
Oh, I was obsessed. Obsessed.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm getting this. Like I was off the crutches, I think I was technically off them in 8 days, but I didn't, like when I went to physio the second week, she was like, why have you not got your crutches? And I was like, I swear I think I can walk normally, because if you come off the crutches too soon after your ACL, you can mess your gait up, which is the way you walk forever. Yeah. So she was like, why have you come here with no crutches? And I was like, just watch, I swear I think I can walk normally. And she was like, oh, okay, yeah, you actually can. And I was like, come on.
You made up for the first time when she said like, you're shocked.
Walking around, I was forcing myself. I was like, get off these crutches now. But everything was like just a wee like, I was toxic in that sense, where I was like, right, Googling how long does it normally take? I'm going to do it sooner. Like that was my mindset. I just was like not listening to anyone that says it's a bad thing.
This mindset creeps into your life a lot from what I've gauged. Like this kind of like, I'm going to do it, all or nothing kind of thing.
But not all or nothing, but just like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Which is good.
Yeah, but it does have its
it can go too far. Yeah, got you.
For sure. Till you're like paralyzed and you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because you're like, what do I do? Because I feel like I've tried and it didn't work, kind of thing.
Do you feel like, because you obviously documented the rehab on your Instagram stuff, do you feel like that helped, having that accountability, or having that kind of like, you know, I'm going to post this, I'm going to try and help other people? It's definitely probably has helped other people. Like you were saying, members that are like part of the gang, they'd done their ACL and they helped you. Having that probably definitely helped push you on.
Getting messages from other people being like, oh, your ACL rehab journey has really helped me. I'm getting my surgery in X amount of time. The way you've approached it has really helped me, or whatever. Yeah. Because honestly, I didn't like, there was not really anything. Aye. There was a few people maybe on TikTok, and that's where I got most of my initial exercises from. It wasn't even from the physio. There was this guy on TikTok called Dreamcatcher, I think he was called, and I just copied everything that he did. Yeah. Like just to try and get my knee going. Yeah. And it was so funny though, actually, because I remember one of my TikToks blew up big time, like millions of views, because the same week I posted it, I think Leah Williamson and like 2 or 3 other Arsenal players all tore their ACL. Yeah. And all I was getting was these comments being like, someone send this to Arsenal women, like, tagging Leah Williamson underneath it and all, and it went mad. But it helped a lot of people being like, a lot of people being like, I wish I knew this before, because I remember being like, I don't know what equipment I need before surgery. Like, do I need game ready? I didn't know I needed the NMES, and I was lucky that one of my clients at the time had actually tore her ACL, and she played with Irish rugby. Yeah. So she was very clued in. So she was giving me all the tea. So I was like, right, I'm going to order this now before I even have my surgery. So I was getting all that done. But like, not everyone has access to that. So I was like, right, it's helpful for that. But in terms of me actually like the actual rehab, I don't think that was it. I think it was just internally, I just wanted to get past it. Like I was like, I just want to be back. I get you. It does sound like you have an amazing group of people. Like the gang sound and then even in CrossFit too, like CrossFit's all about community, isn't it? It's all like that's. I laugh. People call it a cult, but like, they're like in our gym, everyone just like knows each other. Everyone has a crack. And I was going in doing my rehab, and people would still be like, "What's the crack? How are you getting on? How's the knee?" And all this here. And then anytime I would come in, and maybe like you would log like your scores and stuff on Wobboard, so I was getting back maybe like, after 3 months, being able to do a wee bit more class. And people would be so supportive. You
were smashing it. Like, I remember watching it. I was like, how have you managed to do this so quick? I was
only 9 months there. Oh, sorry, I hit this. I was only 9 months there, maybe like
that's crazy.
A few days ago.
And now you're because I seen, what did you do recently? It's a big development.
Those squats, maybe?
No, or a muscle up, maybe, or something.
Muscle up.
Yeah, you've done something.
I technically had that before I even got surgery.
Oh, right,
but that was a problem, because obviously I was focusing on
So you kind of, you didn't focus on the upper body stuff.
See, if I don't do my gymnastics disappear, so I have to focus on them.
Got you.
But I'm kind of getting to a place now where I can start focusing on everything again. Like I'm back basically doing class most days of the week.
Unreal.
And not as much rehab. Like I'll not lie. It's the same thing we talked about. Where
get
the
back
stuff
to the
that
stuff
got me.
I'm
definitely my priorities have changed. Where I'm like, okay, are there any comps I can do next year? I'm nearly getting a wee bit too ahead of myself. So I do probably still need to focus on doing a wee bit more of like the unilateral strength and stuff like that. But I think you just get too caught up on CrossFit with wanting to be able to do everything. So there's so much to learn.
I get you. But that's cool, and that definitely, it's nice that you had, obviously not nice that you done your ACL and the whole thing.
But I'm glad I did now, I'm like...
It's the same as looking back to all the other times, starting uni, feeling the anxiety, like all these things. You kind of see it at the time, you're like, oh my days. Like, even ending the relationship and having that break, it's all... Like, growth, isn't it? It's all. But
you don't, obviously in the time.
You don't know. Obviously, you weren't thinking this is great. Like, gonna get so much content out of this.
I thought my life was over when I.
I can imagine. For someone that's so active as well, it's like I can imagine. Like, I've never broken anything. I've done ankle ligaments and stuff like that a few times, and I remember when it happened. You're like, because rehab. Let's be real, it's not that fun.
No, it is boring AF.
Like, but if you put the it's like anything. Doing the boring things daily is what gives you the biggest results, and will stand you in the future.
I remember I would like set my phone up and I would record me walking up and down the stairs, trying to walk normally up and down the stairs, like it's mad.
I know, and you're like, jeez, I took walking up the stairs for granted.
Oh yeah, and like that's what I said too, because it was actually, it was my granny got me up the first day I got back. It's mad, you be in and out within a day. Like, Mummy took me up in the morning time because obviously I wasn't going to be able to drive, and the leg was fucking stuck straight, like it was not moving, and so you were like this trying to get into the bed, and I lay in bed the whole first day after surgery, and then Granny came in to see me the second day. Now Granny's had a hip replacement and a knee replacement, so she came up the stairs to see me, and she was like, what are you doing still lying in this bed? And I was like, I was having a real pity party. I had a terrible sleep. I was so sore that whole day, like the codeine was not working, and I was like, I'm in pain. And she's like, let's go downstairs now. And I was like, Granny, I'm not going downstairs. Like, I do not want to get up. She made me get up, and thank God, because that first day, I started moving the knee, and if I hadn't started moving it then, I probably would have still been in bed for the whole week and not moved it at all. When that early stage, even though it's something the physio always said to me was like, hurt not harm. It's gonna hurt, but you're not, so long as you're not harming it. That kind of a way. Pain and discomfort. I feel like that, because a lot of people like don't push because they're uncomfortable. But as long as it's not pain, that's where the growth comes. It's like progressive overload and anything, isn't it? It's like getting stronger, getting fitter. But that, I think, obviously it felt horrible at the time, but I think it's cool to learn from that, and obviously you can help people now with that as well. But so bringing it into now, like social media, where you're at right now, looking into, we're doing this end of 2023. What does the future hold? Like, what are you thinking? Like, I'm not a big person for like 5-year plans, 10-year plans. I don't like, what do you kind of think? Be a better you, your CrossFit, anything, any kind of goals, any plans to do, any cool competitions, any plans with social media, any plans with the... Just, I like to keep my stuff, not like, I know some people are an avid say your goals out loud, but then the way sometimes there's the opposite of like when you say something you get the gratification of it when you say it out loud and then you don't actually follow through with it. So I'm like, I have some things in mind that I want to work on, but I'm not gonna like put them on blast now because I'm like, you need to get a plan in place before you start saying you're going to do that kind of a thing. But I did do, for example, I did my first retreat this year. I seen that. I looked unreal. Amazing. The balloons and all. Like that, like you want to talk about imposter syndrome. When I put that up, I was like, who's going to come? And it was the best day ever. And all the girls that came were unreal. It was so fun. It looked amazing. And even some of them were a few of them were my past clients or were my clients at the time. And I just know how anxious they would be to come to something like that by themselves. And they had a great day. It was, and like even the location was so beautiful. So I was like, right, I'd love to do something like that. But me and Owen we're not moving essentially, but we are going to go like to Bali in July next year. I know you love a bit of Bali. So jealous. But it's not like we're moving. We're like, we're gone. See you later. Like we're kind of just, I'll be working. I seen you mention this on Instagram or something. Just going and then seeing where you go after that. Yeah, like just kind of taking it easy. You'll love Bali. Just like honestly, when we're younger and we have the opportunity that you can go and like do your work in a warmer climate. absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you know, but I'll still be providing the same level.
Yeah, exactly.
But with CrossFit, definitely want to try and get back to doing some comps. It'll be difficult next year, obviously, because if we're leaving in June, and primarily majority of the comps are during the summertime. But I think I'll try and get maybe 1 or 2 at the start of this year.
Yeah.
Just see where I'm at, like, for the crack.
And
then do the open, because I haven't got to do that in ages, so I haven't.
There's a great CrossFit scene in Bali too.
Yes,
like there's a lot of cool like fitness villages, loads.
Sure.
So, and I'm doing it in like 30 degrees heat.
I'll die.
Yeah, you'll die, but it'll be nice. Like, it's not like pissing rain outside.
What about you?
Who knows? Who knows? I know.
Would you be a vision board kind of guy?
I used to, like, I would always do with my clients. I would always do like a vision planning session at the start of the year. But I like to know what I'm working towards. But it always changes, doesn't it? It's like it always kind of.
So even from that, I was listening to Mel Robbins the other day. I do love a bit of Mel.
Shout out Mel.
Shout out Mel. Shout out everybody.
Shout out everybody.
She was talking about how some people put the wrong thing on their vision board. I love a vision board, and it's actually.
Do you have the TT on the vision board?
The exact TT I have was on my vision board from 2021, and I got it in April 2021. So I did, and I got like I had like a little follower account at the top, like I have that, and I've updated it obviously for this year and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I had I remember I put like a My Protein badge on it in 2021 as well, and this lovely lady, this is mad too, I had got the TT in April, right? And it's not to blast material items or anything like that, but I was absolutely buzzing, like honestly. So
especially if you're someone that loves cars. I get it completely,
And I like the black alloys, everything.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just so happy.
Is there an exhaust in it?
It's titanium pipes or whatever, but it's not like
Yeah, but I heard you go. Okay.
Anyway, what was I going to say? That all came in the car, like it came like that. That's why I was like so shocked when I got it, because it had all them wee bits on it. But anyway, I had put up a TikTok to be like, guys, it was basically to represent the vision board, because I had put the exact car on the vision board, and I had like, honest, when I started that year, I had no plans. Like I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get that car. Like in my head, it was so far out of reach.
Sometimes that's cool though.
Yeah.
Just like say something that you just don't know.
I'm so excited. Like, look, this is the vision board, and I had like put in the camera. But on the vision board, you could see, like, for a split second, the little My Protein symbol.
Yeah.
Because it was massive at the time. It still is massive.
Yeah.
But it's a wee bit, the way that their influencer marketing works now is a wee
slightly
bit different.
Yeah.
But at the time, when I first got it, it was very much like links, codes, commission. It's changed a wee bit now. But anyway, what was I going to say? From that, I got an email from this lovely lady, Maria Ryan, who she's lovely. She's on Instagram herself or whatever. She travels around Australia and stuff. But she worked with My Protein at the time as like their influencer person, collaborator.
Yeah.
And she wrote to me, she was like, Cáoileánn, I follow you on TikTok, and I'd seen your TikTok about your vision board, and I noticed the My Protein symbol. She's like, I've been meaning to reach out to you for ages. And when I seen that, she's like, I knew it was time. And that's how I ended up working with My Protein then.
No way.
Swear to God.
So directly off the vision board.
Literally. Mental.
Okay,
and then I even had like a wee picture of Italy on it, and me and Owen have been to Italy twice now. Just random stuff. And my two best friends, Shannon and Claire, I have like a wee photo of them, and we're still besties, and you know, like just small things. But Mel had talked about on the vision board how some of us are putting the wrong things on it, whereas you might not know what your specific goal is. Right? It might not be a certain number of clients, certain number of money that you're making each year, but you know that you want to, for example, grow your business, make money, train, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So instead of putting the end goal on the vision board, put in the middle part that people forget about. So put in
the journey,
essentially the journey. So like putting in like the picture of your laptop screen, putting in like the podcast studio, putting in a picture of somebody sitting up on their laptop doing like editing for a podcast or editing for their clients, or like you in a gym PT, like putting all that on your vision board, so that when you wake up, that's what you're seeing, and you're like, yeah, that's the work that I'm doing. Because a lot of the time it's in the work that when you're doing it, you're squandered, and you're like, am I doing the right thing? Am I getting where I want to go? But that's the stuff that's going to get you where you want to be, even if you don't know what the end goal is. So I was like, oh, I need to change up my vision board.
I'm all about that. Yeah, that's so true, because I feel like, as we said about, whenever we said about in terms of your followers, you probably thought 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. I think, oh, what'll happen when I get to that stage?
Yeah,
but it's not. The excitement isn't in that. The excitement is in doing what you do to get there.
Oh, I need to just get my head away from that completely, because that really does paralyze me sometimes. You know, I just overthink that. And Owen says this all the time. He's like, Cáoileánn, you could, like, the same way that you might hit 40 next week, then you'll be like, okay, I want to hit 50. You might hit 80 on TikTok.
When does it end?
Right,
it doesn't.
It doesn't, exactly. So that's why I'm trying to change now, to be like, right, let me just try and make the best content that I can make and help people nurture the clients and the audience that I do have, so that we can just have a good time, good community, good vibe. True. And then whatever happens from there is what happens.
So true.
I need to put that on the fucking vision board.
Yeah. We've all got things we need to learn. I know I love that. That's so true. Right, to round the podcast off, I love this. It was an amazing chat, and thank you so much for coming in. But I want to ask, if someone's in a position, say, wee Kails, young Cáoileánn, you know, maybe wants to do what you do, or sees you and you inspire them or whatever, any advice, anything that you would just kind of say, inspo, that you would love to maybe have heard when you were younger, or something that you did here, take the floor.
Oh gosh, and it's literally not exciting.
This could be a podcast in itself, probably, but
it could be, but it is and it isn't, because I'm not gonna lie, some people start out on Instagram and TikTok wanting to have followers, wanting to have an audience, wanting to have XYZ, and that sometimes is a good goal. Like, maybe your goal is purely to be an influencer, it's not even to be like a dietitian or a PT or anything like that. But at the end of the day, sometimes if you start out with that goal, you just want followers, etc., you're not going to be authentic to yourself. You're probably going to start doing stuff that isn't really authentic to you, like taking brand deals or whatever that don't actually match where you're going to be. So I think the first and foremost thing to do is just start posting. That's literally like, you're not going to build anything if you don't start trusting yourself to post. And you're probably going to be terrible. Like, I still look at some of my content and I'm like, that should have been better, or oh, the production, that was terrible. Like, and sometimes it's the stuff that you really don't even put effort into that does the best. I think a lot of the time now, just what people want.
Decision paralysis, and you overthink everything.
Yeah, and I think what people consume now actually is just like, they just want normal. They just want to like have companionship, talk to people. And I think if you can just be yourself and just post, and do it with the intention of helping somebody, not building a following, that's probably what's going to get you where you want to be, rather than, because that's what I'm like, you need to move away from the numbers, because that, as you say, like, it can just paralyze you, worrying too much about the numbers. So just posting, being yourself, and trying to help just at least one person.
It's so true, and we hear this so many times. How many podcasts do we listen to? And it's all like, but you just need to action something and start. And it even applies to fitness. It even applies, like, focusing on scales. I want to be this weight will make you take shortcuts to get there, whereas if you just start, build habits.
Something I always say when it comes to that is, okay, but how would you feel if you were that weight? And then they'll be like, oh, well, like, happy. Right, what do you do at the minute that makes you happy? And they might say nothing, but like, right, well, what can we find that'll make you happy? Rather than, once I get there, I'll be like, again, you hear this all the time. It's like, once I get XYZ, once I get blah 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 blah. You need to find things that already instill that feeling on a daily basis, because if you have that feeling, you're going to want to keep doing things that make you feel that way. And that's the little consistencies, the small things. Your sip of coffee every day, you're walking to the gym, stepping in, doing your cardio, like feeling good about yourself, lifting weights. That's what's going to make you happy. It's not the weight in the scales. Do you know, at the end of the day, you might step on it. It's the same as us maybe looking at follower counts. Be like, right, I get there. Okay, well, what now? Maybe I want to be 73. Maybe I want to be 70. Now I want to be 65. And it's like, when does that end? You know? It's
so true. It's like, the joy is in the journey. I know all these little cliches and all you hear. I hear it all the time. Gary Vee, like, follow his stuff and all this here nonsense. Like, and you just kind of hear it and you're like, but it is true. We all kind of like painted a different picture when it comes to motivational quotes, but if you actually think about a quote and think about these things, it is so true. You just have to try and enjoy. If you can't enjoy a sip of coffee, you're not going to enjoy something extravagant, or like, you know.
My favorite quote, and it's so simple.
Hit me with it.
Hit you with it. It's really basic. It's from The Sun Will Rise and So Will We by Jenna Cecilia, and it's like, this is paraphrased because I can't remember specifically what it is. It's basically, if you were to wake up, would you be happy to be walking to meet yourself for a coffee? Like, are you somebody right now that you would like to meet up with and have a coffee with? Like, do you think you'd be an interesting person to chat to? Would you be someone that maybe would end up just sitting on their phone the whole time when you're chatting to them? Or, you know, small things like that. Would you be, like, would you have stuff to talk about? Would you be funny? Would you be good company? And if you're not, well then, who is the kind of person you would want to meet for coffee? And okay, what can I start doing that'll make me become that? Because that's someone you want to spend time with. And at the end of the day, you're the only person you're guaranteed to spend the rest of your life with. And I always say that, it's like, you have relationships, you family, but the only person making the decisions at the end of the day and that you have guaranteed is you. So you want to be enjoying that flat white with yourself, you know.
Love that. What a way to end. I love that. That was great.
Wrapping it all.
I enjoyed that a lot. And also, where can people find you? If people want to find you, Be a Better You, Cáoileánn Conway, what's the TikToks, Instagrams, shout away.
Yeah.
You can look into any of them 3 cameras. This one here is directly you. Just go straight down the camera.
This is my good side. So mostly so the Instagram's Be_BetterYou. So it is, but if you type in even my name, like Caoi, it should come up because there's not too many Cáoileánns.
You'll have a tough job spelling it, but
yeah, tough job. Just type in Be_BetterYou and you'll get it. I'm sure you'll probably put it in the thing.
I will.
Or on TikTok, I'm just Cáoileánn Conway, so Caoileann, whatever. And then amazing. The other ones, I have YouTube. It's again YouTube and the podcast. If you type in Be
and the podcast, there's going to be loads of episodes
coming
next year.
2024, we're going to get our shit together, and then YouTube, I'm going to get my shit together, especially in the build up, and plus being in Bali and stuff, will definitely be a bit more freedom to have more vlogs and stuff. But my 2 main ones at the minute would be Instagram and TikTok. So Instagram,
TikTok, love it. Please go follow Cáoileánn. She is amazing at what she does. Puts out great content. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. Being genuine, it is true. And no, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that chat. But look, guys, remember to do all the interesting stuff on YouTube. Subscribe, like, share, anything else, all that good stuff.
Whatever.
That's all you need to do. I appreciate you watching. Appreciate you listening, and I will see you in the next one. Don't forget. Grab a coffee, get your steps in, get inspired, and I'll see you there.